Hey, what's up, guys? Oh my God. Welcome, welcome to Law Explaining the Interwebs. I'm your host, Nick Rekieta of Rekieta Law, a small law firm and a very comfortable couch in central Minnesota. And I profusely and humbly apologize. I got the little raclets in bed, and I sat down. Oh boy! After a whole day of Halloween related activities, well, 2 days kind of, but so I had to teach earlier today, and then the rest of the day was kids doing Halloween stuff. I don't know if you guys know how this works or if it works the same where you are. I don't know. When I grew up, Halloween was you put on your stupid costume. Oh my gosh, this is going to happen for a minute. I apologize. I'm desperately going to try to restrict that, but the explanation is coming on that. So you got your stupid costume on. You either begged your parent or whatever to take you out trick-or-treating, or if you were old enough, you just went out and did trick-or-treating, right? Like you go around your neighborhood or you drive to a different neighborhood and then you run around to all these stupid houses that wasted a bunch of time and money decorating their front porch. And you go up and you knock on the door, and then someone, brings you like a big bowl of candy, and they're like, here, take one. I have 10,000 pieces of candy, and I know I'm going to see 50 kids tonight, but take one tiny Skittle, and then you go like door to door doing that. That's how I did Halloween. And like occasionally you run across the person who forgot that it was Halloween, but they really want you to leave. So they give you like a full candy bar. They're like, here, just take this and leave. So you get that person or whatever. And then you got the real gem was like the family who wasn't home for Halloween, and they leave out like a bowl or a bag or something. It might have soda in it. And so it's like, oh yeah, you hit that house right away, and then you just go home because you just take all their candy. Okay. Well, that's not how Halloween works anymore. At least not round here. Now, what apparently everybody does is goes to a store, a mall, a church parking lot, a church itself, a retirement home, something like that, and they just walk around this controlled environment where a bunch of people have been paid to be there, or if it's like a place where people go to die, then they're paying a whole lot to be there, and then the kids just get candy from that. Like a trunk or treat, they're sometimes called, or just a fall festival if they're like a little too religious, right? And it's like Halloween is the witches. You get one of those things, and then those are like just it's weird. It's weird to me. But anyway, so we did a couple of those tonight, and then. And that's just, I don't get it. I don't understand. I mean, I remember going trick-or-treating with my friend, and like we were racing to get to the door first, and he tripped and he hit his face on the concrete and broke his nose, and blood was everywhere. Like, that's my memory. That doesn't happen in a church. Doesn't happen at a mall. So, I don't know if that's how you guys have Halloween. I'd like to point out that the town where I'm from, not where I'm from, where I reside. This area, I should say, is the origin of the Jacob Wetterling case. And I've heard from people who grew up here prior to the 70s or prior to the 80s and early 90s that it used to be more like what I remember. And but then this kid gets snatched out of nowhere. Jacob Wetterling, he was grabbed, and he was, as the story turns out, years later they found out that the kid was kidnapped, molested, and then killed in a town that's not too far from here, Litchfield, I think it was. No, Painesville. What am I talking about? Painesville. That the kid was killed pretty quickly, but they didn't know where this kid was for like 30 years or whatever. So he was just gone, and there was always a possibility that he was around. But it impacted how people do outside activities. Like around here, kids don't play outside as much, and they used to. So anyway, that's a lot of backstory for the whole thing. So I fell asleep on the couch like a geriatric embarrassment, and I apologize. I do. I got done. I still have like keys in my. I got done getting the kids in bed, and I'm like, oh, I've been looking up these stories and putting together the show. I'm gonna just sit down for like 15 minutes. And that was at 10. So I apologize. I woke up, it was 11:10 or so, 11:10, 11:15. Like, oh my god. So I got to get I had to get going. So that's what happened. I'm sorry. Happy Halloween. Happy Halloween. We're going to talk about some funny stuff. We're going to talk about some scary stuff. Unfortunately, I don't have everything just ready to go. I don't have everything just ready to go, but I'm going to get it ready to go right now. So, because we got to get, we got to have some... We gotta have some scary stuff to see. We've gotta have some ghouls or whatever. To scare us. Because that's what today's about. It's about being scared of things. It's about playing games. It's about scaring ourselves just to the point of like, you want to play a game? You want to play a game? You want to play a game? I'm in your nightmares, baby. I'm in your nightmares. That means I'm watching you sleep. I just found this now. I didn't even know this existed until literally this second. Okay. Let me get one of these stories pulled up. So today, I've got a mix of stories. Some of them are like Halloween themey stories. Some of them are just horrifying things. Some of them are meant to be funny. Very, very laid back and fun stuff. What should we start with? Oh yeah. Well, let's start with this. This is the old one. This is the oldest story I have. This dates all the way back to 1971. And some fans of the show have sent me some stuff to look at for Halloween, some suggestions. This is from a fan who found this case. I read it. It's pretty funny. It's funny. So judges sometimes get to do some little interesting bits. Like they get to waste the country's resources and have fun doing it sometimes. Not all the time. Most of the time they're wasting our resources and they're doing a job. But occasionally they get to indulge themselves a little bit and have some fun because they're confronted with something. So this case is one of those. Yes, this is Wikipedia, but this is a public domain case, and the case happens to be on Wikipedia. It's a nice easy. Sometimes it's a nice easy way to find. This is the actual opinion, which is crazy. This is a little bit different than just a normal Wikipedia article. This is the whole opinion written by the judge. This isn't there's a Wikipedia article about this, but this is the cited decision. Irvin Williams says, Nick, you didn't DUC KY. You didn't duck? Oh! I forgot. You didn't. I got it now. You didn't DUC KY. Okay, sorry. Oh man, I apologize. Okay, so here's the case. This is United States ex-rel Gerald Mayo versus Satan and his staff. So this is a gentleman who has sued Satan himself. He is appearing pro se. He is not appearing by counsel. He is he's suing Satan. The decision actually comes from his petition. Oh, excuse me. His petition to proceed what's called informa pauperis. You make a petition for informa pauperis if you are unable to afford the cost of filing. Like you're financially destitute to the point where filing documents is outside of your ability, but you still get access to the court. So with leave of the court, you get to waive all of your filing fees. That's informa pauperis. And it's a very important way impoverished people can access the legal system, but you have to ask the court for this. Yeah, like the Satan. Yes. The actual Satan. So the judge is issuing the decision on the IFP request. All right, that's what we're getting to here. So oh my goodness. The judge is Judge Weber. Plaintiff alleging jurisdiction under 18 USC 241, 28 USC 1343, and 42 USC 1983. Now, 42 USC 1983 is this is this is an action for deprivation of rights. So this is funny because a 1983 claim is what you do. It's a cause of action you bring against the government when the government has deprived you of your civil rights or of any other right. So like a cop comes to your house and says, for example, hey, you've got that very unfortunate internet post out there. Be a shame if you got arrested for your words, but I can make that go away by you just go ahead and do this thing I want you to do. Otherwise, I'm gonna arrest you for your speech, for example. That'd be potentially a 1983 claim. Like the police officer has has some authority or jurisdiction over you and could make a lawful order. But what they're doing is they're using the color of law to get something that is outside of their ability. It's a suppression of your rights under the color of their lawful authority. And then so you get to bring what's called 1983 claim. Another thing would be like if they arrest you and hold you for too long, for example. Or if, let's say it wasn't a cop, but maybe some other government employee uses some means to deprive you of rights by something that would be under their authority or jurisdiction, a fake requirement for a license from a government agent, or a DMV person. You're driving the car, and somebody employed by the DMV to do a test, right? If they don't use a private testing facility, but a government, or even if they do, but they're being paid by the government in some capacity, you would argue that they're using their authority over your ability to obtain a license to maybe get, some sexual favor or something like that. These would be 1983 claims. You see them a lot in prisoner relationships, actually, where a prison guard does something and the prisoner sues the prison or the prison guard. It's a 1983 claim. Okay. So anyway, Satan is an agent of the state here. I'm rambling. I need to get razor focused on this. Satan's an agent of the government, but we all knew that. He prays for leave to file a complaint for violation of his civil rights in forma pauperis. He alleges that Satan has, on numerous occasions, caused the plaintiff misery and unwarranted threats against the will of the plaintiff, that Satan has placed deliberate obstacles in his path and caused plaintiff's downfall. It made me stumble. I was on the path to Jesus, and Satan made me stumble. Plaintiff alleges that by reason of these acts, Satan has deprived him of his constitutional rights. We feel that the application to file and proceed in forma pauperis must be denied. Even if plaintiff's complaint reveals a prima facie recital of the infringement of the civil rights of a citizen of the United States, the court has serious doubts that the complaint reveals a cause of action upon which relief can be granted by the court. We question whether plaintiff may obtain personal jurisdiction over the defendant in this judicial district. We don't know if we can really bring Satan under the realm of this court. The complaint contains no allegation of residence in this district. While the official reports disclose no case where this defendant has appeared as defendant, there is an unofficial account of a trial in New Hampshire where this defendant filed an action of mortgage foreclosure as plaintiff. The defendant in that action was represented by the preeminent advocate of that day and raised the defense that the plaintiff was a foreign prince with no standing to sue in an American court. If you don't know, this is about is referencing an old folktale. I can't remember the name of the old folktale. Of course, I can find it. It's on Wikipedia, right? It's right here. The guy who Daniel Webster. Let's see. So this is a story of Daniel Webster. And that's in New Hampshire. Yeah, so he, sells his soul to the devil and all that stuff. So here's the story. You can read about the story of the devil and Daniel Webster. The judge is making a joke literary reference here. Let's see. By the preeminent advocate of that day and raised the defense, plaintiff was a foreign prince with no standing to sue in an American court. This defense was overcome by overwhelming evidence to the contrary. Whether or not this would raise an estoppel in the present case, we are unable to determine at this time. If such action were to be allowed, we would also face the question of whether it may be maintained as a class action. It appears to meet the requirements of Federal Rules of Civil Procedure 23 that the class is so numerous that joinder of all members is impracticable. Satan makes a lot of people stumble. There are questions of law and fact common to the class, and the claims of the representative party is typical of the claims of the class. We cannot now determine if the representative party will fairly protect the interests of the class. That's the fourth requirement for certification of the class. So they don't know about that fourth one. If the defendant will, or the plaintiff would fairly represent them. But we note that the plaintiff has failed to include in his complaint the required form of instructions for the U.S. Marshal for directions as to service of process. That's a problem. You can't bring the lawsuit without actually serving the lawsuit upon the targeted party or having a U.S. Marshal serve it for you. So without the location of Satan and his staff, they can't actually bring notice of the lawsuit. Now, if he were crafty, I guess he would file for, or he would ask for leave. If he were represented by a proper attorney, he would ask for leave to file by matter of publication. Some sort of alternative filing by publication to give Satan proper and adequate notice of the suit against him so that it could proceed. You don't get to just dodge service forever in this country, Mr. Satan. You don't get to do that. You have to actually somehow answer for your unlawful ways. But he wasn't represented by counsel. He was pro se. See, this is the value of an attorney. An attorney could bring Satan in. An attorney could bring Satan in by publication for adequate notice, and that'd be good. For the foregoing reasons, we must exercise our discretion to refuse the prayer of the plaintiff to proceed in form of pauperis. It is ordered that the complaint be given a miscellaneous docket number and leave to proceed in form of pauperis be denied. So the case could go on. He'd just have to pay the fee for the case to go on. And presumably following this, it was dropped. There you go, guys. That's the story of United States ex-rel Gerald Mayo versus Satan and his staff. Just a weird, goofy sort of action, but you truly can bring anything. You can bring anything before the court. However, you have to properly bring it under the court's jurisdiction. And if you bring something and a judge gets a chance to write something, judges all think they're funny. You can see that they're a worse purveyor of dad jokes than I am, but they all think they're hilarious, and they'll take the opportunity to express their exceptional words on page if you give it to them. So that's what seems to have happened here. This judge gets to make fun of an incarcerated person trying to sue Satan for who knows why. And thank goodness the taxpayers of 1971 paid for all of it. The guy didn't pay a dime to file his case because he was denied in form of pauperis, which just means that he still filed the case. It just would eventually be dismissed for lack of payment. So there you go. Okay, let's get the next thing we've got. Okay. Let's see. I've got a picture. Ooh, I've got a picture of a zombie, a real zombie. Hold on, let me pull it up here. And while that's loading, I'll get the next story up. Oh, this next one is a spooky story. No, I don't want... Oh, God. So I've got this zombie picture. This is a trigger warning. This is horrifying. Truly, truly terrifying. And the next one... And then we're gonna go through this is not a legal story. This is just a scary story. You know, like those scary stories to tell in the dark? This is one... This is truly horrific. And it's a story I think all of you are familiar with. And you'll see why. Right before we switch, I don't want to jump scare you into death. Tucker says, wouldn't the lawyer bring Satan into the court by bringing themselves into the court? Yeah, that's his staff. Listen, I couldn't hire any lawyers because they all work for the guy. It'd be a conflict of interest. Okay, this is a real zombie. Ah! Oh my God. Oh, I'm sorry. It's decaying as we speak. It's long dead. But yeah, there you go. So there's that's in honor today. Who today is truly about? Who has haunted more houses than Ruth Bader Ginsburg? Oh my God, look at that thing. Gross. Okay, so this is different. Now we've got a true tale of terror. This is a story of Sarah. I'm going to read you the story of Sarah. This is from CNN. All credit to CNN on this story. We'll have some commentary to go along with it. This is a cautionary tale. She went from a liberal non-voter to burning books with white supremacists. Here's why she finally left the movement. Guys, this is this is a true story. It has to be a true story because CNN published it. I read this story yesterday. It's been updated today. I don't know how. It just says it was updated. I don't know how it was updated, but it was updated today. So we'll see. I'll see if I notice the update. I'm not sure. Just look like just look at how this article makes women look, how it makes I don't know. You make up your own mind. This is truly horrifying, okay? She went from a liberal non-voter to burning books with white supremacists. Here's why she finally left the movement. Here she is. Look at that. She's got the thing on. In May 20... Oh, Samantha, not Sarah. Oh, dang it. In May of 2017, Samantha went to a book burning in upstate New York. They have book burnings. They have these? Are you kidding? She had entered the inner circle of the modern white power movement called the alt-right. This article is walking a tightrope between making the alt-right out to be the scariest meme lords on the planet versus the least capable organization you can think of. They can't decide if they want to fear or insult the alt-right on this. So, buckle up, buckaroos. The modern white power movement called the alt-right. And it was the moment. Oh, no! Don't advertise to me! It was the moment its activists see in retrospect as the peak of its power. So I guess it's down now. The home was classically suburban, with a picnic table and a fire pit in the backyard. The atmosphere was like a family barbecue of books, but she felt an air of intensity. They stood around the fire and cheered as books were tossed in the flames. Some gave Nazi salutes. Samantha did too. Now, I don't know if this happens. I can't believe that this happens, but I guess maybe it does. But it's straight out of Indiana Jones and Last Crusade, right? Like that's like the Nazis all standing around throwing books on the bonfire and all like, hi-yo! Or have any of you guys been to a Nazi book burning? I know you're all the alt-right, or whatever. But how many book burnings do you attend per day? That's the real question. I wouldn't know as an honorary, as at best like an emeritus member of the alt-right, like the, or not emeritus, well yeah, like not, I mean I just get, you know, grandfathered in or whatever at some point. I don't know why. I'm the worst alt-righter on the planet. But for you actual alt-right people, do you stand around Sieg Heiling at a pile of burning books? It's all so surreal, Samantha says now. You're literally standing there going, I'm at a book burning at someone's house. Like, there are families that live next door. There's probably a nice person who lives across the street, and I'm burning books about Jewish people. It doesn't even feel like it's wrong or right. It just feels unreal. I wonder, can't say that joke, never mind. The reason it feels unreal is because I don't believe it happened. That's, okay. At the time, she texted a friend that it was the best weekend of her life. It had taken Samantha 6 months to go from a vaguely liberal non-voter to what she calls a productive racist. Not just, listen, they're passive racists, and then there are racists who are out there doing work. And Samantha's one of them who's out there producing, putting up numbers. She is one of very few women who joined the alt-right, and an even smaller number who left and are willing to talk about it. Her story helps explain what draws people into this movement and the misogyny that drives it. Are you ready? Because the reveal is coming. You know, with a setup like this, the reveal is coming as to what drove her to the alt-right. And it is the most, I'm blowing the surprise. It is the most embarrassing reveal you could imagine. Okay? Here we go. Samantha took this selfie during her involvement with racist groups. She said later it took some time to come to terms with what she had done. Oh, we're going to find out what she'd done, I guess. In the fall of 2016, straight out of Portland, Oregon, you can tell, Samantha's indie rock loving boyfriend changed. He started lifting weights and making jokes she didn't understand. He hit the gym. He straight chatted up. He went from beta to an alpha chat and started telling jokes. I'm broken. I'm broken. Oh my god. So guys, if you want to know, if you want to know how to get your girl into the alt-right, you gotta hit them weights. You better be memeing from the gym. Oh, this seems fake. Oh no, this is a true story. Hide your wives, hide your kids. If your boyfriend goes to the gym and starts getting hilarious, dump him immediately. Oh. Okay. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. When she finally Googled them, she discovered they were based on an elaborate, violent white supremacist fantasy called Day of the Rope, in which people of color, Jews, gays, and race traders who helped them are murdered. I couldn't believe it, Samantha said. And again, is that what you guys are talking about with Day of the Rope? I always thought it was from that Roller Boys movie from the 80s. The Roller Boys was a gang on of a roller skate gang, and then they were fighting with a BMX gang, and they were selling drugs. And the Day of the Rope was when they would when the drug like would go on sale and they'd kill all their enemies or something. I didn't know it was a race thing. That was back in the 80s. It's Roller Boys. If you haven't seen Roller Boys, highly recommend it. Okay. I couldn't believe it, Samantha said. We both knew so many people that fit that description. Everybody they knew was alt-right. They were just helpless, liberal, non-voter indie rock listeners who were suddenly just non-stop playing Dokken and Iron Maiden while pumping weights in the gym. Her boyfriend reassured her they were just jokes, but then she says he looked her in the eye and said that he was a fascist and that he couldn't be with anyone who wasn't. These are just jokes. These are just jokes. Samantha, I'm a fascist. And I can't be with anyone who isn't also a fascist. It's like a Nicholas Sparks novel. She started researching the alt-right, a movement that shaped old white supremacist ideas into ironic memes that spread online to a very young audience. The grotesque jokes on image boards such as 4chan and 8chan were not her scene. But she found something appealing in the white power activists who presented themselves as intellectuals. Like Richard Spencer and Jared Taylor. Bastions and paragons of the intellectual alt-right. Oh, come on. Just a few weeks after her first online search. Guys, online searching is dangerous. If your daughter online searches, she will suddenly be dating a muscle-bound Chad with a crew cut who will be burning Jew books left and right. Don't let your daughter search Google. She became a dues-paying member of a white power fraternity called Identity Europa. Do people pay to be in a white supremacist movement? Like, or did they just dupe these guys into paying? Who pays to be in this? They pay dues? Do they get union benefits? Like, if the white race fires them, does Identity Europa Union come out and like represent, like, well, but look, they're pretty pale though. Oh my God. That took her into the organization chat rooms on Discord. Uh-oh, wait a minute. If you pay a white person monthly to get into the Discord, you're in the alt. F. Hold on, guys. I gotta rewrite my Patreon page. Where some members spread similar messages to the ones that had shocked her not long before. Like, it starts as a joke where you laugh nervously, like, haha, then you stop laughing. Because you're used to it, she said. And then you start to post it yourself because you want to be a part of that. And it's this really quick dissension into that. No individuality, no willpower, right? This is seriously what's happening in this article. Like, let's take a pause from the joke. Let's take a pause from the jokes for just a second. Remember how CNN is portraying women here. A woman is a liberal non-voter. Really working the 19th hard, okay? Her boyfriend is an unfunny, non-joking indie rock little twig who then hits the gym, and all it takes is a couple pumps on the preacher girl, and this girl goes full alt-right into a cult that she's paying to be in. That's the progression here. She watches her boyfriend hit the preacher curl, and the damsel suddenly is unable to resist the wiles of Richard Spencer and Jared Taylor because it's funny. Whoa. Whoa, CNN. I mean, that's horrifying. No willpower, no individuality, no agency other than what Richard Spencer and Jared Taylor, by providing a Snap Fitness in their area, has turned all of the women into the alt-right. Wow. Adam D says, here's something scary. Lucas Gerhard, student in Michigan, faces 2 to 20 for terrorist threat because he posted a picture of his AR-15 saying, "This autumn melts snowflakes," as in snow. Bond hearing in 2 weeks. He's been jailed for 2 months. Oh my God. Philip Stahl says, I've been to a one-man book burning. I burned a Maddox book after he disavowed it. Maddox made me alt-right. I mean, there's the argument. I guess that you're burning an Armenian. It's an Armenian book burning. Who are you, the Young Turks? So guys, if you're dating that liberal chica and you really need her to hit that alt-right treadmill, you gotta swole up in the gym. You gotta just pound protein. You gotta mainline protein shakes. You better hit that gym. Get in there. That's straight Drexel advice right there too, by the way. Oh, if you guys, a brief aside, so Drexel shared with me the classmate of ours we was talking about. If you watch the Drexel stream, someone asked, how do I, as a dad, I think a widowed dad, he said, as a widowed dad, how do I get out there and meet women? And Drexel says, oh yeah, you gotta get on Facebook and post pictures of you with your kids doing dad things, and the women will come flooding in. And then one thing he left out, though, was he sent me a picture of this guy, the guy who he was talking about. And the guy is like 3 feet wide, just muscle-bound monster. And I'm like, I didn't recognize him at all. I went to high school with this guy, had class with him. I didn't recognize him, though, because he's swole out of his mind. So that's what you got to do. You got to chat up. You got to hit the gym. You got to get broad enough that you have to turn sideways to walk through doors. And then apparently all women will fall at your feet and immediately turn into alt-right, and you got to schedule some book burnings. So that's the part Drexel left out, is the book burnings. Okay, so here's Samantha pictured in a selfie from her phone. She said she was attracted by activists presenting themselves as intellectuals. Again, the media can never decide if Richard Spencer is the biggest idiot on earth or the most dangerous man alive, right? Like, they're terrified of these weirdo guys. Samantha, now 29, was open about her past in her interviews with CNN, but asked that her last name not be used to protect her and her family from possible violence or retribution. You're plastering this girl's picture all over the place. I guess they're hoping that the alt-right, who is just nothing but meme lords who spend their entire day on the internet, will be able to figure out who she was. Of course, all of the people involved in this story must know exactly who she is. Like when her alt-right Jew-hating ex-boyfriend or whatever reads this story on CNN, although maybe he'll just be like, as he throws the hard copy print off of this article into the book burning at the next country club meeting where they burn CNN articles, and he'll recognize her face as it wilts away in the flames, and he'll, Samantha! And then, like, he won't know who it was. This is terrible. To protect her and her family from possible violence or retribution, she now rejects white supremacy and has joined Life After Hate, an organization that helps people leave hate groups. And again, maybe this is a true story. But at this point right now, to me, this is equally credible to be a true story versus a paid person advertising for life after hate. Like, listen, this guy, Samantha, thank you for joining the cause. This has got to be, this is your job. Your job is to go give this backstory, this origin story to CNN so that we can get some activist dollars our way. CNN knows the identities of the men Samantha and other women we spoke to had close relationships with. We have verified their real names, CNN doxed them, locations, and in one case, criminal records through contemporaneous messages and public records. Out of all of the bad boy white power people, you found only one criminal record? That's it? The women asked us not to use their names because they're afraid of those men and their followers, who clearly will have no idea who Samantha is. That's why I have troubles pressing X to doubt on some of this, because logically speaking, if they should have had to blur her picture if she's actually scared of these people, because they would know who she is. Especially we're going to get to her story, more about it. Samantha has spoken out before. In 2018, she contacted Andrew Marantz, who is working on a book about social media and extremism that published this fall as Antisocial. Marantz later reached out to me and suggested I talk to Samantha. He gave me the iPhone she'd used during her time in the alt-right. The screen was shattered. I had it fixed and began looking through it. Samantha's iPhone opens up the hidden world inside the white power movement, frozen in time in 2017. Is it hidden or is it just on 4chan? Make up your mind. And once Samantha was in, she was all the way in. She became an interviewer for Identity Europa, testing whether new applicants were fluent in white power ideology. And here's my favorite. Screening out Jews and people of color. Clamoring to get in. Just lining up at the door. The Jews and people of color are just banging down the doors of Identity Europa. Please let us in to your white power movement. We're so tired of these Jews and colored people. We gotta get in. How'd she conduct those interviews? Like, did she just go to Sherwin-Williams and have like all the pasty palettes up? She just like gets a screen grab of their face and just holds it up. It's like, it's a shade too dark for this one. She told herself that she wasn't racist, just pro-white. She rose in the organization past her boyfriend and they broke up. Uh-oh, Alpha Chad couldn't keep up with girl power. She was named women's coordinator for IE and ran a women's chat room, an essential organizing tool in a movement that's almost entirely online. A women's chat room is an essential organizing tool? Okay. Now remember, she runs the women's chat room. This is an essential tool for the movement, but almost no women join the alt-right. As they said earlier, like basically none. Basically none. Samantha changed her look and her demeanor. She bought dresses with full skirts and nipped-in waists, clothes with which she wanted to protect an all-American delicate sexuality. Samantha said, I wanted to be more feminine. I wanted to be more desirable. I wanted to be more appreciated. I wanted to feel smart. So I just played into these roles. Do they not read what they're writing? Do they not? Look, as a woman, I wanted to be more feminine. I wanted to be more desirable. I wanted to be appreciated. And I wanted to feel smart. So I joined the alt-right and dressed better. What? Oh my God. And the standards for how women are treated in there are pretty low. So I was able to lean into that and make that work for me. The standards are low, and it was a step up from being a liberal, non-voting woman. It's a step up. Remember that she's got to compare this to her pre-racist indie rock boyfriend. This is the comparison that they're unaware. They're cataclysmically unaware that they're making. The comparison that as a liberal non-voter, she felt less feminine, less desired, less appreciated, less smart, and then admits that the standards for how she was treated by the evil racists were low, but implying that it was lower before. Oh my God. A photo from that time shows Samantha smiling demurely in a white dress, flanked by 5 white men, 4 of them wearing white polos with the Identity Europa logo. Now, none of these guys are chatted out. I'm not a big guy. I don't pretend to be big or anything at all. Never have been a big guy. But I'm just saying, none of these guys are monsters in any respect. This guy's got arms like me. He hasn't been to a gym in like 3 years. You could tell. This guy, I don't know. The best shape of them all is what? This guy? We can't see this guy under his jacket. He's wearing a jacket while everybody else is in short sleeves. Well, except for this guy. These two guys are hiding their sweater puppies or whatever. So anyway, Samantha booked a rental at a vineyard as an ironic place for white supremacists to stay. Vineyards are so ironic. Like, I thought it'd be like ironic to book at a vineyard or whatever as a white supremacist. Why? What? Why? What is ironic about a vineyard? It was mid-May 2017, and Samantha had helped plan a protest now known within the white power movement as Charlottesville 1.0. During the day, a few dozen protesters gave speeches by the Robert E. Lee Memorial in the Virginia city. At night, they stood enchanted with tiki torches. Samantha had picked the rural rental where she and the other IE members stayed. That's Internet Explorer, not Identity Europa. It was a cabin on a winery with 2 bedrooms and a deck with an extra dining area. And we're about to find out why she categorizes Jared Taylor and Richard Spencer as intellectuals, right? I thought it would be funny if anti-fascist activists wanted to chase us out of town. You know, like, oh, these big scary Nazis retreated to a vineyard. I thought it would be profoundly ironic. Thus, the intellectual caliber of the liberal non-voter is on full display. Yeah, Oriental Trading Co. is just raking in money on tiki torches. Sorry, the 56% neat society says don't lump Taylor with that closeted sodomite. Oh, poor Richard Spencer. Oh, it seems like his closet's in a grave right now. Someone get him on life support. There wasn't much interest from the mainstream media or violence at the rally. Well, nothing happened though. but the images the rallygoers posted on social media were dramatic. And they inspired the Unite the Right rally, now often referred to as Charlottesville 3 months later, where a counter-protester was killed and 2 state troopers patrolling near the site of clashes died in a helicopter crash. Did we ever find out what caused the state trooper helicopter to crash? Was the helicopter... I know in Minnesota, state trooper helicopters are painted brown. So did the white power suppress the helicopter in Charlottesville? I don't know what happened there. After that, I was in, she says. Now remember, she was already in, but now she was in. Can we cycle back to this? And once Samantha was in, she was all the way in. Well, I guess fucking not, right? She wasn't all the way in, because now, after that, I was in. I was all the way in, but now I'm in. She says, I was in the movement. It felt so good to... Here it is. And here is everything. No, joking aside, this is the problem. This is the problem with what 25-year-old Samantha and 25-year-old everybody. This is the problem with all of it. It felt so good to be an activist, to be in the movement. What does this say? What does this say? It's group identity. It doesn't matter what the identity is. There's a big birth of people out there longing for group identity. And why? Why? Because this is my own personal theory. My own personal theory. We're shattering the group identity institutions that have held society together forever. Family units, religious units, other civic organizational units, any identity. For some people, it's been race. Like, not that that's right, wrong, it doesn't really matter. But racial identity was clearly and is becoming again a glue that binds people together. And I think we can objectively and without any pretense as to the propriety of it, safely say throughout history, racial or tribal, if you want to use tribal as the word, because it's not always race, it's just commonly race. Because commonly throughout history, your race was integrated with your local tribe and your customs and everything. But it clearly wasn't just race, because the 13 colonies, just going back to the founding of our country, were largely white, but stratified by religious identity, but it was localized to the colonies. In every colony except, I think, Rhode Island, and even when they became state, had state-mandated religions. Colony-mandated religions. The Quakers had, what, Maine? Right? The Quakers had Maine. And if you weren't a Quaker, you had to be a Quaker in Maine. You couldn't be something else. Like, you could do it in the closet, like Richard Spencer apparently is. I don't know anything about that. But you had to be in the closet. There were laws on the books saying you had to be this. You had to be this brand of Protestant. You had to be Catholic, for example. Kentucky had a huge Catholic presence. That's why bourbon exists. That's why bourbon exists, is because of the Catholics in Kentucky, in early Kentucky. But that was, it's localized because travel was hard and expensive and tedious and life-altering and risky, because you left your cultural identity in a very real way and went to a foreign one. And your family was there, your religious roots were there, and you had to upend all of that to move to a different state, People were not mobile. So they built strong links and strong ties in these identity groups. This isn't about whether or not that's good or bad for today. It's not. But it is a thing that we have done from the beginning of time. And now that people are doing it again, this chick is openly said she didn't even find the memes funny. She wasn't a racist. She didn't believe in most of the stuff. According to her own little story here, I didn't believe in this stuff, but I did it though. She's taking accountability and responsibility for her actions, but not the beliefs. And she's suggesting that right here in the movement, take out the, it felt good to be in a movement, because of course it feels good to be in a movement. We find security in having defined identities, whatever those are, and mingling with people. Why are church ties so important to churchgoers? Even when they don't accept all of the teachings of the particular church, try prying them out of it. Well, but I know the people. Listen, there are people who are, you can find story after story about this, hardcore conservative Christians who lose their faith and become atheists, but stay at their church, practicing Christian atheists who don't believe a word of what's being said on the pulpit. In fact, they don't, not only don't believe it, they vehemently disbelieve it. Because they've gone through something that shattered their foundation in the underlying beliefs of the group. But identity in the group is more important than the beliefs that bind you together. Because it's not actually the beliefs that bind people together. It's not. It's the camaraderie, the security, and the identity. And that's what we're seeing with identitarian movements on the rise. The reality is, identitarian movements aren't on the rise. They're just changing. They're changing form into a form that a lot of people don't want to see, which would be racial identitarian movements. People are finding security in that. Well, when you break down religion, when you break down family, when you break down every single thing that binds us, what are people going to default to? X person looks like me, and I know that to be safe. It's the oldest identitarian security on the planet, and the easiest to figure out, because all it takes are these. Sorry, this is supposed to be just funny, but I can't stand how unaware these people are as they write this stuff. The torchlit protest at the Robert E. Lee statue from May 2017, a precursor to the deadly Unite the Right rally. A couple weeks after the gathering in May, she was taken to the book burning by a rising leader within Identity Europa, who was trying to impress her by introducing her to white supremacist celebrities. You know how many, listen, you know how many Jews this guy oppressed today? 42. He oppressed 42 of them. Like, what? Okay. The party was hosted by men associated with The Right Stuff, a group that makes podcasts that are something like drive time radio shows, obsessed with race science. Any of you guys familiar with The Right Stuff? Never heard of them. I mean, I might have heard of people in The Right Stuff. I don't know, but I've never heard of The Right Stuff before. Let's see. It was attended by Richard Spencer, who gained national notoriety when he declared "Hail Trump" to a crowd doing Nazi salutes shortly after the 2016 election. Mike Enoch. Oh yeah, no, I have heard of Mike Enoch. Not just because I read the article. He's going to be mentioned in the article in a second. But I remembered when I read that, I've heard of Mike Enoch. I haven't listened to Mike Enoch. I don't know anything about him, but sure. There was an array of other men who most people have never heard of, but who are famous in the racist podcasting world. Uh-oh. Samantha... Now this is podcasting. Samantha filmed one of them throwing a book into the fire. An image taken from video shows a book being thrown into a fire at the party. Who's one of them? One of who is it? How do we know that this person is, like, obviously their face isn't in it. Are we supposed to know by blurry forearm that this is a famous celebrity of the alt-right racist podcasting scene? Okay. Spencer told CNN, "I don't remember the event." He added, "I've been to lots of parties and seen plenty of wild stuff." When CNN talked to The Right Stuff's Mike Enoch Pinovich, he declined to comment on the book burning. We don't talk about book burnings. Oh my gosh. Clearly the Blurry Forearm podcast. The people that you hear on the podcast and people that you see making the speeches are going on different news shows, are showing up at these parties. So you feel like you're meeting a rock star, Samantha said. It also encourages you to stay, incentivizes you to stick around. You could be the next big name in the movement if you meet the right person. Of course, we're going to learn that what Samantha just said right now doesn't apply to Samantha because women aren't allowed. She says it. It's coming up. Sorry, spoiler alert. Even as Samantha thought she was rising through the ranks, she was aware of a meme known as white Sharia, a misogynistic twist on Muslim religious code. These white supremacists are so hardcore that they want to treat their women the way the Arabs do. They're in it. They're in it. The joke is that white women are ruining Western civilization through promiscuity and voting for liberals. Sorry. So the only way to save it is to impose Sharia law on women, and in the supremacist twisted view of Sharia. Twisted view of Sharia! This is the twisted view! I missed that line earlier. In their twisted view of Sharia, women are property. Oh, completely different from the actual Sharia. Good job, CNN. It's only ironic hijabs making women property. It's not real ones. The real hijab's just fine. Don't worry about that. Don't worry about not being able to leave a house without a man. Don't worry about being seen with a man who's not your brother, father, or husband in public gets you murdered in public in some of these countries. That's not women as property. The joke hijab card, that's women as property. Oh my God. A flyer at the book burning said, "White Sharia zone. Thoughts must wear hijab at all times." A thought is a slang racists. Racists? No. Have enthusiastically ripped from hip hop. Yes, from the actual racists. It means that hoe over there. Or a woman who seeks attention through her sexuality. Guys, the racists have co-opted thoughterry. Oh my. Twitch is racist, we've learned. Samantha took a picture of it. She is holding it with French manicured fingernails. French white manicured fingernails. Misogyny is a key part of the white power movement, even as a meme. Shortly after the party, one of several that summer, Samantha's new boyfriend was doxxed. The doxing. His personal information was published online. He was afraid anti-fascist activists would come to his house. So Samantha offered to let him crash at her place. He never left. The true horror story is coming up, where we learn that the women are actually driving the alt-right. Literally driving them, because only the women make money. She worked long hours to support him, and the relationship soured. They broke up. He wasn't bringing in the money. Again, look at it. Look at what they're saying about women. Look at how Samantha is categorized by CNN. He wasn't making enough money to stay with. This is such an embarrassing article. He wasn't making enough money for women to appreciate. Oh my God. They broke up privately, but she agreed to pretend to be his girlfriend publicly. Cuck. And she was still working for IE, growing women's membership from a handful to about 50. As the overall rank swelled to 1,000, she said. Look at all of the races. Wow. This is not Chad boyfriend. She broke up with Chad boyfriend before. This is new boyfriend. This is podcast boyfriend. Take the Drexo Islamic pill. Oh my God. I'm gonna send this article to Drexel and demand that he read it. In the chat rooms, her proteges signaled they were happy. But they weren't, though. That's the implication, but they weren't. They signaled they were happy, but they weren't. Couldn't be happy. Listen to this. One wrote, I finally got over the whole woman issue because I was real sensitive. Guys come across kind of mean on podcasts, on Twitter, but IRL, all super nice. So is it not a meme then? Is it not a meme? Maybe, like, again, I don't know Identity Europa. Apparently they're gone now. I don't know anything about them. I don't care. I don't care. But you're saying it's not a meme. Like, you're like, bruh, white hijab is a meme, but it's totally not a meme, though. But then the women say on podcasts and on Twitter, they're totally mean. But then in real life, they're super nice. So so they're not misogynistically huddling the women away and locking them up and binding their legs? Like, they're not doing that? It's just memeing that? So what's real anymore? So there's a social media bravado I don't get but learn to accept. Because maybe it's jokes. Is it jokes? Is it irony? Is it actual ironic? Because, like, there's Vineyard ironic. That's Samantha, non-voting liberal, pretending to be an alt-right racist ironic. And then there's actual irony, where the actual ironic thing would be Muslim-hating whites implementing Sharia, would be the actual ironic. Maybe even stepping into the satirical. Maybe. Just a thought, and not a T-H-O-T. Not a T-H-O-T, just a thought. With a U and a G and an H. With an UG. That's how I do all my thoughting these days. Just with an Is all of this literally just a misunderstanding of irony? Like, is that where the big divide in the country? It's not actually by race or anything. It's literally just misunderstanding irony. And maybe an inability to understand satire. Look at who they're asking me to take seriously. A group that can barely break 1,000? That's who I'm supposed to take seriously? As a group who can barely break 1,000, thinks irony is booking a vineyard for a vineyard cabin for a place to stay? And whose women are beguiled solely by memes and gyms? Like, that's it? Okay, back to it. Sorry. Another said, yeah, initially it was the whole white Sharia, women are property, women aren't people, etc. that really got to me. I've met a few men that are hardcore white Sharia / women shouldn't be intellectual, but they are the minority of men I know. And remember, they're oppressed into only knowing white power men. In private, they texted her about the men who harassed or abused them. Look, she looks haggard. How many days of a bender were you on, Samantha? Before conducting the interview? Like, what happened? Is she looking worse picture by picture? Yep. Here she's just knockoff Emma Stone. But here she's like post-cocaine Lindsay Lohan. Samantha said it did not take long for her to become a productive racist. That's one of my favorite lines. Listen, your racism numbers are down. Listen, ho, get that hijab on and get racister. We need to up that racist production immediately. You are not pulling your weight around here. Samantha was getting frustrated and bored. Uh-oh. Are you once again indicating that the woman... Again, this is not me. This is not me. I credit women way more than this. CNN is once again insinuating that a woman's identitarian activist identity hinges on her ability to be entertained. She's so committed to the movement that boredom is part of her desire to no longer be in it. She was in it, remember. She vented to an IE leader that she was doing the work a male interviewer was getting credit for. Oh. I know that I'll never be in leadership like that because I'm a woman. So if I do it behind the scenes with someone else's voice, that's fine, she told him. This chick hates women. Remember, she's bringing women into this hell that she's loving until she gets bored of it because her boyfriend stopped making money. Let's not forget that it all goes back to that fateful day when her boyfriend moved in and stopped making money. Girl, didn't your mama tell you? Why buy the cow when he gets the milk for free? You gotta put those girls away. You gotta put those girls away. Lock it up. Don't be a thought. Right? Listen to the memes, I guess. As others prepared to head back to Charlottesville, Samantha's commitment was cracking. She watched as an older woman who was established in the movement posed a hypothetical during a conversation with a white man who didn't know they were white supremacists. She asked him to imagine a house was on fire and 10 people were inside. I don't understand the point of this story. 5 of them black and 5 white. He could say, only save 5. Listen, you can only carry 5 people. Wouldn't he save the white people first? The man said he would save whomever he could reach. Samantha thought, that's what I would do too. But she didn't say anything. I felt like most of the time I was in there, I was waiting for someone else to say, we know this is all bullshit, right? I had to beep. I don't have a beep soundboard. Oh my God. So here's Identity Europa's driveway, apparently. You will not replace us, our past, our culture, our people. And was this taken with a panorama? Is that why this driveway is bent? I can't tell if this driveway is actually curved or if that's just a panorama photo because they couldn't figure out how to get the straight sign into frame. Just back up. Just back up a little bit. An Identity Europa banner made on a driveway. Other women who had spent time with Identity Europa told CNN the violence at Charlottesville horrified them and drove them away. But Samantha's breaking point came that October when her grandmother died. What violence at Charlottesville? I mean, I know about James Fields. Was there other, like, major violence at Charlottesville? Maybe there was. I don't remember anymore. I see, whenever I think of the violent stuff, I go back to Berkeley and, like, Bay Stickman. I remember that stuff. Charlottesville, assuming there was violence, was so overshadowed by James Fields. Unless they're talking about that. Maybe they are. She felt ashamed that her grandmother could not be proud of her. She quit IE a few weeks later. She says her ex threatened her, saying in the good old days she would have left the movement, quote, in a body bag. This is where it gets real. Ooh. She says she was reminded she could hold, quote, a lot of Nazi semen. She was reminded of this. And would make many Nazi babies. Despite those threats, she left. Well, I mean, I guess, was she worried that he wouldn't leave her couch? Like, just kick him out. Oh my God. Identity Europa has since rebranded as the American Identity Movement to distance itself from the alt-right. Is it not alt-right then? So is it no longer racist? Make up your minds. When asked for comment about the claims about IE members, AIM President Patrick Casey said he is, quote, unaware of anyone being coerced to stay in the organization. The group promotes itself as identitarian, that white people should preserve their racial and cultural identity. It is responsible for more than a third of white supremacist propaganda posted on college campuses in the 2018-2019 academic year, according to a tally from the Anti-Defamation League, which tracks and campaigns against hate. The American Identity Movement says it prohibits violence and illegal activity. By December 2017, Samantha says she quit all the chat rooms. Oh, finally. Finally, she got off those chat rooms. She lived in a cabin in the woods for some time. Was it an ironic cabin in the woods? And slowly came to terms with what she'd done. She eventually stopped making excuses and realized she'd actively promoted racism. Notice how they never accuse her of being a racist. That's the magic word. They're constantly making excuses for Samantha. She wasn't racist. She never believed it, but she did be a productive, did productive racism or whatever. But it was about producing. It was about numbers. It was mechanical. It was entered into. She didn't believe it. It was irony. It was jokes. It was memes, right? This is how they identify a friendly. She says, I was definitely a bad person for a while. CNN spoke to two other women who, like Samantha, spent about a year in the alt-right before quitting. It's a thing to be in. It's not like just they spent a year in the Republican before quitting. They spent a year in the Democrats before quitting. They spent a year in the Green Party before quitting. It's some sort of collective determination of a set of political beliefs. Like, that's what the alt-right necessarily is. It's some brand of right-leaning politic that holds on to some sort of identified platform, even if it isn't officially codified. It's an understood implicit platform. Unable to take the abuse anymore and fearing for their safety, they now reject their old beliefs. One had become interested in the movement after watching a speech Spencer gave at Texas A&M in late 2016. And now Spencer's alt-right head count of thottery is up to 2. Turns out Richard Spencer is what is really burning the loins of the alt-right women's. I wasn't even a racist yet. I thought he made a really good argument for families, she told CNN, requesting anonymity because she fears the violence. He's good at making it sound legitimate. Making families sound legitimate. She liked the family security, the promise of whatever they're promising. I don't even know what they're promising, but he made it sound good, legit. Safety, it's very appealing. Yes, of course it's appealing. It's only the reason identitarianism exists and has existed forever. Safety is appealing. The woman also joined IE. Is this Base Stickman? I thought he always had like a bandana on or whatever. The woman and a helmet. The woman also joined IE and began dating a man she met in the movement. Her boyfriend's view, she says, was women deserve to be subjugated. Women deserve to be humiliated. Women deserve to be raped. Women deserve to be impregnated. It wasn't a joke. I can't believe I supported that stuff. Why on earth? You know, I was really attracted to the safety of family that Richard Spencer talked about. So I joined the alt-right and dated a man who said I deserved to be raped. Weep for the species, y'all. Weep for the species. She explains, I thought I was trash, so I didn't mind when they talked about women being dogs, worthless, even though I was the one driving around paying for stuff. Look at, here it is again, right? The women, it's women fueling Identity Europa. That's it, because the men don't make any money. The violence between members of the alt-right and counter-protesters, they're always the counter-protesters, aren't they? Was a turning point for some of the women in the white power movement. Antifa's always the counter-protester. Yeah. She says that she and Samantha fit a familiar pattern within the alt-right. Like 70% of the time, the women earn the money and the men do podcasts. And they do podcasts about how women shouldn't have jobs. Like 70% of the time, though. But there's only 50 out of 1,000 members that are women. The bigamy, right, or polygamy must be massive if the women are earning all of the money for all of the men. 0.5% of members are women. But like 70% of the time. Is this why we need to encourage women into STEM? Like, is this why CNN thinks women need encouragement into STEM? Is this why? Because 0.5% of the group is paying for all of the money 70% of the time. Like, with a wage gap only rivaled by the starved thottery thigh gap, right? She broke away only after the relationship ended. I was so wrong, she said. I would talk to younger women. And again, the woman's beliefs are subject to her boyfriend. Look at how they classify women. It's awful. CNN is terrible. Who wrote this? I was so wrong, she said. I would talk to younger women about how this was a great way to be family-oriented and joke about white Sharia. I thought we were there to serve men. I thought we were stupid. I didn't look in the mirror to see what was real. Well, like, to be fair, honey, you literally were stupid. Like, that has to be your conclusion, is that you were at least stupid. Whether you are or not still is up for debate, but despite making up 0.5% of the population, women were pretty much responsible for like 70% of the income. A third woman who was interviewed for Identity Europa by Samantha took on some of the counseling roles Samantha left behind, hashtag Kirk Cameron, when she quit. It was then that she saw the harm being done to the psyche of other women. Quote, there was one particular girl that would call me at all hours of the day when she had panic attacks from all the verbal abuse in her relationship. She hadn't eaten in days, she told CNN, asking for anonymity to avoid any reprisals. Eventually, she said she sent a resignation letter to IE. Resignation letter. It was unconscionable. Like, just disappear. Just turn off the internet or whatever. It was unconscionable for me to justify creating manipulative content to draw young women into an organization where they were going to alienate themselves from friends and family and open themselves up to predatory men, she said. Oh, and look, we've got a white power symbol. The symbol of white power. A member of the alt-right displays an OK sign at Charlottesville, one of the seemingly innocuous gestures co-opted by the white power movement. Oh boy. This article's almost over, y'all. I'm sorry. This is long. It's long, but it's important. Oh, there is a related article. We'll have to do this another time. A mother's warning. If you have white teen sons, listen up. Don't let them on the internet. The racists will get them. I don't know if that's what she says. But does she have white teen sons? The alt-right is far more hostile to women than previous iterations of the white supremacy movement. Jessica Reeves, a researcher of the ADL, told CNN. The alt-right emerged from the same parts of the internet as violently misogynist groups like incels or involuntarily celibate men. She says, I don't think it's even possible to have an alt-right movement without the underlying misogyny. Oh, women recruiters in these movements are caught in a, quote, really toxic stew of misogyny and self-loathing, Reeves says, but at the same time, they're morally implicated. I wonder if Reeves makes 100% of the wage of her peers. They're bringing women into a movement that is at its heart fundamentally misogynistic, which is dangerous in and of itself. But they're also bringing women in who are supporting a movement that is, you know, geared toward the annihilation of non-white people, or the very least, the segregation of white people from non-white people, Reeves said. I think that's something they're going to have to reckon with. No, Reeves! They don't have to reckon with it because their boyfriend believes it, so therefore they do it. It's all over the article you're in. They don't reckon with anything. That's the underlying theme, is that they don't care. They don't believe any of it. None of it matters because their boyfriend went to the gym and said a meme, so they're in. Samantha and her former IE friend both say the alt-right was like a cult, that it separated people from their families and friends and demanded total ideological adherence. Like any cult, they want to expose you to as much as they can, but not so much you just turn away. So not as much as they can. The woman said, the one difference is that there's no single leader who dictates the culture and doctrine. Instead, that's created and enforced by largely anonymous people on message boards and in chat rooms, each one trying to one-up the others by posting more cleverly racist and cruel jokes. But we know this is true, right? Because Lacey Green went from feminist to alt-right when she dated Chris Ray Gun, right? Like, we know that. Like, suddenly Lacey Green got 10,000% less woke, started shaving her armpits, and maybe got on a treadmill or something the moment she started dating Chris Ray Gun. Does anybody else remember that? Leftists hate women. They don't think that they have the capability of independent thought. at all. And everything is tied to the man. Everything. Women are absolutely incapable of overcoming the man's misogyny. It's the one constant theme of journalism. It's crazy. Okay. It never was past me that this stuff was dark. Samantha says, you become so numb to it. I've become so numb. I don't know if I ever thought it was funny. I don't know. So apparently Linkin Park was just memeing also. I don't know if I ever thought it was funny. I don't know if I ever explicitly said it wasn't funny. She scrolled through her old phone, looking at the pictures and text messages and Nazi memes that had been sent to her. Evidence of her past life. It's one thing to move past it and be like, I was trash. I had ideas that I absolutely no longer agree with. But you didn't, though, have those ideas. You've said over and over that you didn't have them. You were doing it for the meme. It's another thing entirely to confront the actual information and, like, proof. And then to know that in some way, it might never go away. No, Samantha, the internet never forgets. It never does. I'm sure no one will recognize you because they protected your identity very well. Oh my goodness. Whew. Yeah, I gotta prep the next story. The next story is all around funny and legal and stuff like that. So, but I read this and it was like, look at how this is the modern day horror story, right? That women are so fickle that one trip to the gym and a couple Pepe memes and guys, you're in. Drexel's actually right. He's actually right. That's the funniest part of this story. Drexel is actually right. Every time people ask him, where do I meet girls? What do I do? Blah, blah, blah. Hit the gym is all he says. It's gym, some Pepes, and that's it. You swole up, you get the Pepes, and the women are apparently incapable of resisting the gym Chad. That's the saddest thing. I did I take it off for a picture there? That's her picture. Anyway, pretty eyes on Samantha in that picture. Pretty eyes there. Pretty eyes there. Hard to really see in this picture. And then haggard cocaine eyes there. We'll go out on a better note. There we go. Let's get to the next story. What do we got here? Oh man, I gotta grab it from my email real quick. I didn't bookmark this one. Sorry. Give me just a second. Okay. Where do we got? Come on, where is it? Here we go. This is straight out of Michigan. Oh God, what a great. Whew. This pulled up. Almost there. I gotta get a... We gotta have the theme, right? We gotta have a picture to go. Oh God. Here we go. So okay. Trigger warning. Trigger warning. I do have a picture of a goblin in the theme of Halloween, of course. I have a goblin to show you as our transition. Where's my chat? Oh, there's my chat window. Do I still have autofocus on? Oh wait, I gotta do I gotta do something first. Let me turn off this stupid autofocus. This show is brought to you by Ridge Wallets. Ridge Wallets. Here it is. This is it. This is everything I walk around with. Notice I don't carry cash, but you could. You could slip cash in the strap here. You can actually get a clip instead of a cash strap. But Ridge Wallets. So these guys are great. Again, they are the first sponsor of the show. They are the recurring sponsor of the show. I renewed my sponsorship deal with them. I like their products. I like who they are. I like the fact that they don't tell me at all what to say. And I sent my first disaster of an ad read, which was literally just me talking like I am now. I sent that to them. I'm like, well, here's my read. I hope it was good. And they're like, no, that's great. It was fine. It's perfect. So let me pull up the little thing here. Ridge.com/for-the-fans will get you a 10% discount. I unironically love this stupid wallet. I used to carry around a big wallet. A long time ago, I would carry a back pocket wallet, and then I noticed pelvis and hip problems from sitting on the wallet because I kept receipts and I kept all this crap in there that you don't need all the time. I never took them out. That was the thing. I needed them, but I never took them out. And I had this big bulging wallet. No money. This was back when I was broke AF. Despite all my trust fund trillions, I was broke out of my mind. I didn't have money. I just had a bunch of receipts from wherever I was that were like months old, like a Target receipt just thrown in there. And a bunch of little cards that I would get from people. Business cards. I don't need business cards in my wallet. I don't need business cards ever. That's not true. Sometimes I do. But anyway, then I switched to my wallet to my front pocket, which was great for my low back and everything. But it was this big thing in a pocket. It took up a whole thing. This doesn't. This is tiny. It's just the same dimensions as your credit card, a little thicker, obviously. But that's it. And it takes about one transaction to get used to using it. So I really do recommend them. I use this wallet every day. You can see because it's starting to get a little bit of wear on the finish. But that's how it goes. Because it goes in the pocket with my keys and stuff like that. So it does get a little, they're metal. They get scuffed up. You could babysit them, I guess. But the integrity of the wallet, the elastic's good. All of that is still fine. So anyway, ridge.com/for-the-fans. I hope to show you the Ridge knife soon. I think I've got a knife coming. So you guys can see that and judge for yourself if you like. If you like little everyday pocket knives with a money clip on it, I believe. They've got that. But I don't have one yet, so I'll show you when I get one. But yeah, ridge.com/for-the-fans. Great product. Honestly, why I re-upped with them is because it's a great product. I have had other offers for various sponsorships, and this is the only company that I've actually thought I like these products. and they, you know, like I said, they don't tell me what to say and what not to say. So I always hope that they're profoundly disappointed by the ad read and by the surrounding content. And on that note, here's a picture of a goblin. Oh my god! Ugh! Oh! Oh! Ugh! Oh! Oh! Mm. Uh, they have photographed El Chupacabra. Oh. Oh, God. That was Jamie Markey. Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry, there isn't enough trigger warning. There isn't enough trigger warning for Jamie Markey. Yes, for real. That's Jamie Markey. This isn't Jamie Markey. This chick has the most horrifying eyes on the planet. That's a good mugshot. Hmm. So this is Rochester Hills woman. This is Michigan, straight out of Michigan, who bit friend's ear off, said she was wolf, victim was vampire, deputy says. I don't know if this is Twilight or Underworld or what, but it is a great story. Allison Weaver accused in bloody face-biting attack. Oh boy. This is the same chick. These two are the same chick. This is her mugshot. This is her at court at her preliminary hearing. Oh. Let me hit these chats real quick. Zakin Tawate says, as Sebastian Younger said in Tribe and also in War, in the end, we are still just tribal chimps. How dare you say that, Zakin, you racist? Because according to the left, and law Twitter, anytime you say the word chimp, you must be referring to black people because law Twitter is not racist. So they see black people literally as chimps. So, just so you know. So you are awful, you racist. Nova Zero says, thank you for your white supremacy, Nikki. We had you pegged all along. Samantha needs a BBC to end her ties to the alt-right. Drex Consulting, time to make some bank. Oh no. He'll send the squad over. Super Iron Bob says, do you still think these people are real? Are or aren't? Are or aren't? Oh my god. This chick is real. This is real AF. This is as legit as it gets. This is in court. She was just at her preliminary examination October 29th. I'm going to see if I can find a way to follow this case. I'm not familiar. I know a Michigan attorney. Who can help me follow this case. He's been on the Big Brain panel. He has worn a Technicolor dream coat and he drinks Grey Goose. I'll see if I can get some input from Mr. Josh on this case as it develops. Maybe we can do a show about it if something crazier comes up. But her preliminary hearing was just on October 29th. So we've got, at best case, something like 60 days before this is resolved. That's if they demand a speedy trial. If they waive their right to a speedy trial because they want to marshal witnesses and all of that stuff and experts, then it could be longer. But we'll see. No, it's not Kevin Landau. Dear God. Dear God, no. Okay, Rochester Hills, Michigan. A Rochester Hills woman accused of biting off her friend's ear and viciously biting her face hovered over the victim on all fours and told her, "Sorry, but you're gonna have to die today," and claimed to police that she was playing a wolf and the victim was playing a vampire, according to the details that emerged in court. So I want you guys to remember something, and I'll tell you this firsthand. I would bet that this story is crazier than presented. Not that it's less crazy, that there is a second side to this story that makes it even better. So remember that, because this is one side of the story. The news, when they're showing someone who's accused of a crime, they're getting the prosecution's narrative, which is maximum damage. But often the victim has... Now, this is not victim blaming. This is not victim blaming, but often, especially in something like this, the victim has some part to play in what happened. That doesn't make them not a victim. As you'll see, I'm pretty clear. It would take a lot to make this chick not a victim, okay? But there's something missing from this story, and it's hours of time and probably some really good details. And they may come out, and it could be, maybe not, but I'm betting there is. I'm betting there is. Okay. Allison Thompson Weaver, 44, of Rochester Hills, and a 48-year-old woman were found partially nude and covered in blood, at 1:23 a.m. September 17th at the Lake Village Apartments on Norfolk Drive in Rochester Hills, police said. Officers find a bloody attack scene. A caller told police he had heard two women fighting in the apartment above his. You know he waited till he finished, though, to call officers up. And I'll call him now, 911. Yeah, officers. Have I got something to report? Woo! A caller, two men fighting in the apartment above his. He said he could hear one person moaning and calling for help, according to officials. Come on now. Deputies said they knocked on the door and also heard someone moaning and calling for help. They entered the apartment through an unlocked door and went upstairs, police said. Weaver and the victim were in the master bedroom covered in blood, officers said. The 48-year-old had several bite marks on her face, and part of her left ear had been bitten off, according to authorities. This is very unusual, said Sergeant Jason Dahlback of the Oakland County Sheriff's Office. This is one of those cases that will be once in a lifetime for deputies. But I'm a sergeant, baby. This is just my average week. Police said Weaver was hovering over the woman on the floor next to the bed. Weaver was under the influence of alcohol or unknown drugs that had been recovered at the scene, police said. They saw the two women covered in blood, Dahlbeck said. One was lying on the floor. Quote, one was lying on the floor. Another was kneeling next to her, and they're both in this dazed and confused state. The 48-year-old woman told police she had invited Weaver to her home for drinks, but Weaver made sexual advances toward her. When she refused and went to bed, she was awakened by Weaver, who had removed her clothes and was strangling and biting her, according to officials. Now, this is ambiguously worded. Who is her? Did Weaver remove her clothes? We know they were both naked. Naked-ish. I think the 48-year-old was still in underwear, but no bra. And Weaver was apparently naked. Did Weaver remove Weaver's clothes? Or did Weaver remove victim's clothes? Bad writing here. They should have clarified who, because if Weaver removes the victim's clothes, you know, that's another tack on the criminal offenses there. So, was strangling and biting her, according to officials. She had a partially detached ear, puncture wounds from nails, and bruising around her neck and arms, Dahlback said. Weaver threatened to kill the other woman, police said. What's this? What is it and why? Charges. Weaver was charged with second-degree criminal sexual conduct, assault with intent to do great bodily harm, and assault with intent to maim. That's the ear. And the face. We'll talk about that in a minute. A fourth charge of assault by strangulation was added Tuesday during the preliminary examination. She was arraigned September 20th at 52-3 District Court and issued a $75,000 bail. That's not much. She was released on a GPS tether after her attorney argued she should be let out because she's a single mother. Cue Drexel. And therein lies the problem. Deputy testifies. Oakland County Deputy Sean Hopkins was the first person to testify Tuesday at the preliminary examination. And what I can tell from the pictures so far is that there are far too many all-you-can-eat buffets near this apartment complex. Hopkins said when he walked into the bedroom, he saw Weaver and another woman nude and covered in blood. One was lying on her back on the floor. The other one was sitting up on her knees between the bed and the victim lying on the floor, Hopkins said. Hopkins said Weaver was completely nude and kneeling on the floor. The victim was only wearing a pair of underwear. Hopkins. Wait, what? So are they telling Hopkins? I love like small press, right? The victim was only wearing a pair of underwear, Hopkins. Like that's like, are they talking to Hopkins here? What is comma Hopkins? They noticed that they've said so and so said like 75 times already in this article, and it was getting redundant. So they just they dropped the quotes and forgot to put Hopkins said, is what I'm guessing. Unbelievable buttery taste. Come on! Thank you for pointing that out, Wolvenar. I missed it. It's a perfect ad. Oh, God. Weaver seemed to be in a happy type mood, Hopkins said. She was having a good time. The victim was very quiet. Almost appeared like she may have been in shock. Hopkins said he asked what he was going on. You cannot match the journalistic prowess of the Detroit, clickondetroit.com. No! We're bringing out the military special. Dave Flannery says that article you just read was wildly off-putting. I'd laugh, but journalism like that makes me weep for humanity. Spot on about people needing the warm blanket of community, religion, etc. Hitchens articulated this well. R.I.P. Okay, so back to this weird line. Hopkins said he asked what he was going on. Miss Weaver told me they were having consensual sex and that the victim was a vampire and that Miss Weaver was the wolf, Hopkins said. Hopkins was asked about the condition of the victim's body. Other than the fact that she appeared to be covered in blood, I noticed a large wound on the side of her left eye area and cheek, and I also noticed that the outer edge of her left ear appeared to be missing, Hopkins said. The wound on her cheek was approximately an inch in diameter. It appeared the flesh was completely gone, like it had been removed from her face, possibly bitten off. I noticed the outer edge, the curve on the backside of her ear, appeared to be missing from just above the earlobe to up around the top part of the ear. Whoa! All that! I mean, I guess a mouth relative to an ear is big, but yeah, I don't think like I thought like a little nibble off the little nip off the top, right? No. Sounding Canadian. This is right by Detroit. Basically, our Canadian. Weaver denied that the blood on both of them was real, Hopkins said. She was taken into custody and removed from the room, he said. Speaking to the victim after Miss Weaver had said it was consensual sex, I asked the victim if this was consensual sex, Hopkins said. Now listen here, lady. I need to know if this is consensual sex. She said no. Based on the injuries, the blood, we weren't sure exactly what we had at this point. At the point. She was taken into custody and removed from the room to protect anything further happening. Why is thing... Oh, any further happening, I guess is what he said. And then they put thing in parentheses rather than brackets. Or just any sick further happening. Okay. Bitch that good you don't eat all at once? Come on! Hopkins said he later noticed more injuries on the victim at the hospital. The victim was taken to the hospital by Rochester Hills firefighters in an ambulance, Hopkins said. She had so much blood on her it was hard to see, Hopkins said. Her right cheek and eye were swollen pretty bad. She had a lot of blood on her everywhere. She had a lot of blood on her everywhere. Should be a comma there. This is terribly written. She had a lot of blood on her everywhere. Her everywhere was covered with blood. Prosecutors provided 10 pictures of the victim's injuries. They showed the following injuries, according to Hopkins. Bandages on forehead, cheek, and shoulder. Bruising marks on chest and both arms. Wound to her right temple area. Right eye swollen with a bruise. Bite mark on her right cheek. Lacerations on her jaw. Heavy bruising around the neck and her left arm. Bandaging in the left eye and cheek area. Marks on her lips, lower cheek, and left ear. Injuries to her neck. Scab in the center of her neck and chest area. Heavy bruising around the neck and the front of the neck. Scrapes on the upper chest area. Scabbing around her bottom lip area. Scabbing and scabs at the top of the sternum area. Large scab on her left breast. Several marks and bruising on her chest. Heavy bruising on left arm with scabs. Scabbing in the upper chest and neck area, heavy bruising on neck, peeling skin around her neck. Oh, God. Heavy bruising and a bite mark on the inside of her upper arm. Heavy bruising all over her back in multiple places. Heavy bruising in neck and shoulder area. Scraping and lacerations in the area. Peeling skin and heavy bruising to left shoulder. Apparent bite marks. Hopkins said alcohol, containers from marijuana, and unknown prescription medications were found in the kitchen area of the apartment. I watched Reefer Madness and knew this would happen. I knew this would happen. But yeah, this is a brutal recount of what happened. The victim testifies. After Hopkins, the victim of the alleged attack testified. Warning! Warning! This testimony contains graphic details. They didn't have graphic details before. There's graphic details now. This is the victim. We don't get to see any of the injuries now. But I met Weaver when our daughters were around 6 years old, the victim said. My daughter is 18 now. Weaver and I were talking over Facebook and I invited her over. She came over through Uber to my apartment through an Uber driver. The victim said Weaver arrived in the evening of September 16th and brought an open bottle of vodka and 2 pouches of premixed rum. She put the alcohol beverages that she brought, she put them down, the victim said. She came over to give me a hug because we hadn't seen each other in a long time. And that's when she proceeded to kiss me. She kissed me with an open mouth kiss, and my reaction was to just kind of laugh and brush it off and stop it. The victim said Weaver had already been drinking based on slurred words and the way she was talking. The fact that she just came straight out with a big kiss was a little out of character, I would say, for seeing someone right away, the victim said. They went to the couch and started talking about various topics, the victim said. She said they were likely talking on the couch for more than an hour. The victim was drinking the vodka that Weaver brought over, and she had a nice buzz, she said. I know that at some point during the night, I got tired, pretty tired. And at some point, something about her was annoying me and I wanted to go to bed, the victim said. I was like, just leave me alone, I'm going to bed. I remember walking to bed, going to bed, and falling asleep. This is what I'm talking about. There's a big flipping gap between little bit of drunk, slightly sexually aggressive 44-year-old who came over with no pretenses of sex and eating a bitch's face. There's a gap there. A gap that something that escalated really far. Really far. So I want to know what happened. Slower and huskier. Now remember, this is not the victim. This is the perpetrator. We don't know what the victim looks like. They've protected her identity. The next thing she remembers was being startled by something. I remember jumping off my bed and seeing Allison on all fours on my bed. Me standing there. She was on all fours giving me a really scary look, the victim said. I was like, Allison, what are you doing? She just kept giving me this look with her head going back and forth. I was like, what are you doing? She just lunged at me and she just started strangling me. The victim said Weaver was making animal-like movements with her head and her teeth. She said Weaver was completely naked. My whole neck was strangled, the victim said. I was on the floor. I can still feel every single moment of it. The pain of it, losing consciousness, not being able to breathe, how badly it hurt everything, the bruising on it, that was there forever. My neck was so swollen my chin couldn't meet my chest, and I lost some kind of consciousness during this. Next thing I remember after her strangling me, I only remember a couple of things. I remember her strangling me. The next thing I remember is trying to get away and hearing her as clear as day with no reflection in her tone. I think they mean inflection. Just saying, sorry, name, but you're going to have to die today. I want to point out something very serious here. I don't want people to think... I'm not making light of this story, by the way. This is a crazy story, very interesting, but the victim here appears to really be horrifically brutalized. Even if there was some consensual stuff going in, this is the type of case where it looks like things went way too far. And I'm not saying there was consensual stuff. I'm just saying, even given that mitigating factor, the possibility that there was consensual activity that led up to this is beyond anything anyone would expect to happen. Having parts of you removed by bite, that's a bit strong. It's a bit strong. But notice something. This chick remembers a lot about what happened. She remembers specifics. Victims, at least ones that are convincing, remember what was said because it burns into their souls what's being said. They might miss details from other parts of the night. They might miss details of the encounter itself. But man, it's really suspicious when that thing, that words that assaulted you, that so ruined you, you don't remember them? All right. I just started screaming bloody murder and banging on the floor saying, no, no, no. I can't believe I'm going to die like this. Someone come, please help, help, help. She said she doesn't remember being bitten, the deputies coming in, or the trip to the hospital, but she remembers being in the hospital. I know my cheek was gone, she said. I knew my ear was gone. I knew I couldn't move most of my arms. I had bite marks all over my stomach, my private area, my breasts, my back, my head, all over my scalp, on this ear too, both sides of the cheek because this side was bitten, on my lip, my jaw. I was just covered in head-to-toe dressing that had to be repeated every 3 to 4 times per day. Nothing but extreme pain, which I still have. Going to have to live with these scars forever. You want to know how I got these scars? The victim denied that she gave Weaver permission to touch her. She said they were not having consensual sex. She said she has never had a sexual relationship with Weaver. We kissed once before when our daughters were young, the victim said. Judge Nancy T. Karniak upheld the 3 previous charges and also deemed the strangulation charge appropriate to be added. Weaver was bound over on all 4 counts based on the testimony from Hopkins and the victim. So here's the previous coverage. I mean, oh, wait a minute now. Do we get to hear this chick talk? There's going to be an ad, I bet. Sorry. Here, I'll mute the ad. Screw the stupid ad. I gotta get my headphones.
Good afternoon. Listen, this is the kind of attack that took people's breath away up here. Such a bizarre situation, and the woman we're learning still in the hospital right now. The detective says suffering from some very bad injuries. At this noon hour, we're getting our first look at Allison Weaver, the suspect who was just in court. We're learning a lot more about her.
Good morning. Could you state your name for us, please?
Allison Thompson Weaver.
Only Local 4 cameras are in the courtroom in Rochester at this noon hour, giving you this first look at Allison Weaver, charged with assault with intent to do great bodily harm after a bizarre attack that has a woman hospitalized with serious injuries right now. Investigators say it happened late Monday into Tuesday of this week at the Lake Village Apartments. The victim apparently fending off sexual advances, allegedly at the hands of Weaver. And when that woman fell asleep, sheriff's deputies say Weaver was over her and had bitten the woman's ear off and had bitten the woman all over her face. Weaver's attorney, along with pretrial services, recommending that Weaver be let go on a GPS tether and a bond. The investigator on the case said, hold on, he's requesting a higher bond.
Do you not believe that a tether would help and assist with that?
That's up to you, Your Honor. I believe it would help, but I know the victim is still in the hospital. I'm not sure when she's getting out, and she has several.
I stand by my Canadian accent for the deputy. This isn't the deputy, of course. This is the attorney. I stand by it. For those of you who doubted the Canadianness of Detroit area law enforcement, listen to this prosecutor.
Several serious injuries.
Yes.
Again, that victim still in the hospital recovering from those bites to her ear and to her face. When it's all said and done, here, a $75,000 bond for Weaver, a GPS tether if she makes that bond. Karen, coming up tonight at 5 o'clock, we're going to go over if Weaver has any type of criminal history. And there's a lot more came out about her as a person in court. We'll detail that situation for you live at 5 o'clock. Back to you.
All right, a very disturbing case.
A very disturbing case. Oh, thank you for your input, honey. What else do we got? What else do we got? I didn't watch these videos. Here comes the ad. I'll mute it again.
A good hair day does.
And after we tell you about a good hair day, we're going to tell you about eating faces.
Let's get some of the other news of the day. We are getting our first look at the woman accused of viciously biting another woman's face and ears.
Allison Weaver appeared in court via video to be arraigned on assault charges in the attack. Our Sean Lay was in the courtroom as investigators released startling new information in the case.
Not only are we...
Hold on, I got to call attention to look at the neck veins. This chick would give me a run for my money on neck veinery. She doesn't even look mad. She's saying, wow, what a brutal case. That's it. Like this is her I'm normally talking neck. Not her I'm yelling at the internet at 2 a.m. neck. That's terrifying.
We're getting our first look at Allison Weaver in court today. We're also learning a lot about her right now.
Good morning. Could you state your name for us, please?
Allison Thompson Weaver.
It's our first look at Allison Weaver. She's accused of a dangerous and bizarre attack that has left a woman badly injured in the hospital right now. Late Monday into Tuesday at the Rochester Hills apartment complex, Lake Village Apartments. Investigators say they found Weaver over a woman, both covered in blood.
Jay Venom, how is this not attempted murder? She tried to strangle her and eat her. Strangulation in a lot of jurisdictions has its own charge. And so it's easier to prove strangulation than it is to prove attempting to kill someone via strangulation. Now in this case, they may decide when they go forward, they may decide as more testimony comes out that they can actually charge her, with attempted murder. But one of the problems they're going to have with that charge is, was she in an appropriate state of mind to transcend from this role play, right? She's alleging that she's engaged in a role play from the start. While she's still in her weirdo state when they arrive there, she is a wolf. She's a wolf and talking about a consensual, albeit violent, sexual encounter. So trying to convert that into manifesting an intent to kill, they would have to then prove that she was capable of understanding that her actions would be for the purpose of murder, and not that the death or the homicide that could occur from the strangulation would be an incidental result of what's going on. That's the difference between attempted murder and strangulation, likely in this case, and why prosecutors are going to stick with the strangulation charge rather than an attempted murder charge. They can prove pretty easily that she strangled the chick. There's medical records. There's all sorts of bruising. They'll have photos. They've got the testimony. Very powerful, saying her chin couldn't touch her chest. They can point to all of that, proving the mental state of the drunk, potentially on drugs person as manifesting an intent to kill rather than just an intent to strangle, perhaps as part of a sexual fantasy, is much harder. So that's, to answer your question very briefly, that's why it's not attempted murder. My guess as to why.
Deputies say Weaver allegedly bit the ear off of the woman, and there were bite marks all over the woman's face. Apparently, after the woman fended off sexual advances from Weaver. Who is Allison Weaver? We learned a lot about her in court today.
She's 48 years old, divorced. She has a 7-year-old child that she does have full custody of. She did report full-time employment and human.
Wait, 48 years old, divorced, child in custody. Isn't that the victim that they're talking about? Because Weaver's 44, according to the article. So good job.
Resources at ACRO in Livonia for the past 10 years. She works from home.
Her attorney says she's a single mom and should be let out on bond.
Gainfully employed, single mom, member of our community her entire life. This is an isolated incident, Judge. She's never been in trouble before, no prior criminal history.
But investigators on the case spoke up.
I respectfully would like to ask for a high cash bond, a minimum of $200,000.
Saying the victim here is badly injured and is still in the hospital. They're asking for a high bond and serious limitations on Weaver if she is released on a tether.
I know the victim is still in the hospital. I'm not sure when she's getting out, and she has several serious injuries.
We're live tonight. Allison Weaver given a $75,000 bond from the judge. If she makes that bond, she'll have to wear a tether with a long list of restrictions that include, Karen and Devin, no alcohol, no drugs, no weapons, no contact with that victim who's recovering tonight. Back to you.
Sean, such a bizarre and really horrific story. By doing some of your research, were you able to find out, was there a motive for this attack?
Investigators
Yeah, she was hungry.
Investigators still looking into that. The judge even brought it up, saying she ordered a medical examination for her, a forensic medical examination for her mental health status, also a toxicology exam that was already being done. She wants to see those results to see if any of that played a role in any of this, to find out what was really going on.
And obviously, we're thinking about the victim in this case and hoping she has hopefully a speedy recovery. Thank you, Sean.
Absolutely.
Okay, we'll watch let's watch this is probably the most recent one, I hope. If it's the same stuff, we'll stop. I'm just hoping that they've got some more talking from Crazy Lady. I want to hear that crazy
at your
voice.
Chevrolet certified service dealer, you get tires, engine.
Listen, don't take an Uber the next time you need to eat some chick. Just get your Chevrolet certified service vehicle and drive over to her. Brought to you by Chevrolet.
Attack inside a Rochester Hills apartment. Police say the woman was partying with a female friend when she went off and started biting parts of her face and her ears. Our Coco McAvoy spoke with deputies today as the alleged attacker awaits charges.
The Oakland County Sheriff's Department is investigating a bizarre case that almost
wait a minute.
unreal.
No, this is from before the case. She's awaiting charges, so I don't want to read that. I don't want to watch the rest of that. That's boring. So there we go. Unless you guys do. I don't really want to watch the rest of that news story. They don't seem very competent as newscasters anyway. Listen, I read videos. I have it transcribed. I don't even look at the screen. I'm actually looking at a transcription of the video right now. We want to see Coco? Okay. Well, you know you're not going to see Coco, right? Coco McAvoy. I missed that. Who is Coco McAvoy? Let's go back just a couple seconds because I want to.
The Oakland County Sheriff's Department is investigating a bizarre case that almost seems unreal. A woman had chunks of her face bitten off by another woman.
This is very unusual. This is
who's Coco McAvoy?
One of those cases.
Hold on. Police say the woman was partying with a female friend when she went off and started biting parts of her face and her ears. Our Coco McAvoy spoke with deputies today as the alleged attacker awaits charges.
The Oakland County Sheriff's Department is investigating a bizarre case that almost seems unreal. A woman had chunks of her face bitten off by another woman.
This is very unusual. This is one of those cases that will probably be once in a lifetime for most deputies, I believe.
Here's what happened. Two women in their 40s who used to be neighbors met up last night. They started partying at this apartment complex where one of the women lives. Then one of them allegedly tried to make sexual advances towards the other. The woman refused, went to bed, and then woke up to the other woman strangling her, biting her, and threatening to kill her.
The neighbors report hearing banging and crying for help from a woman.
When deputies arrived to the apartment, they also heard a woman crying for help and opened the apartment door.
They saw the two women covered in blood. One was laying on the floor, another one was kneeling next to her, and they're both in this dazed and confused.
A very graphic scene with a severely injured woman.
She had a partially detached ear, puncture wounds from nails, and bruising around her neck and arms.
That woman is still recovering in the hospital, and the other woman is in jail facing serious charges. And deputies say they don't know what type of drug was used at this time, and the suspect's name will not be released until she's formally charged.
No! That is child abuse. Naming her Coco? Oh my God.
To you, Karen.
So I didn't know they were going to show Coco. I got her here. This is her getting her first Emmy. Coco McAvoy. She got an Emmy. So good job. Named their kid Coco. Good God. Why is life a meme so often? Okay. All right, so that's the story. That's the story of the face-eating female. The face-eating female. Let me see. I think I might have... Do I have another? I think I have another story. I don't know if we want to do it or not. Let me see what we got. Oh, I forgot. I started this show a half hour late. Oh, yep. I have one. I have a short story. Another short story. What is this? I don't want ads. Listen, I'm morally opposed. I have to be morally opposed to ad block. Can't use ad block. The Daily Beast is garbage. We'll go through this in just a second. If they never mentioned the vampire aspect from aside from the headline, you're right, which is really that's a shame. Oh my goodness. Let me talk about my own personal current horror story, as I have to do every stream. I got to dedicate just a short segment to it. So I'll keep it brief. But I am going through my own YouTube horror story right now, where they are demonetizing every single piece of content that I put out, and often I get it remonetized. I'm not complaining about the monetization. I'm not. So don't make this out as like, please money. It's not that. It's not that at all. Here's the deal. I'm trying to grow the channel, and the demonetization of videos is frustrating in that it slows down the distribution and the share rate of the videos that I make. Whatever. This is ancillary to the problem, or it's a part of the problem. The problem that I'm bringing to you guys is that YouTube is unsubscribing people. It is unsubscribing active viewers. And so I'm just asking that people periodically check, make sure you're subscribed, hit the bell for notifications or whatever. I know all of you are, but YouTube is actively removing. I sent to my producer today a screenshot. I can't show it on screen because it would, I don't want to dox the person, because it sends me an email when people subscribe. Just so you know, I get an email every time someone subscribes. So I don't really check this email account very often, because I would have thousands and thousands and thousands of these emails. But I went through and I searched my email history for some of the names of the recent subscribers, because I mentioned on the last stream that people are getting unsubbed. So I figured some people were resubbing. And one of them that I looked at has subscribed to my channel, and I checked, and it's the exact same channel, has subscribed to my channel something like 6 times. Because YouTube keeps removing them. And I have the email confirmation from every single one. Now, I have reached out to YouTube partner support for help on this to try and figure out what's going on. I doubt it's going to be helpful, but I have sent them the screenshot, and I'm like, what the F, bro? Like, we're in a symbiosis relationship. I sell ads. I bring people to ads for you, or I bring people on YouTube Red or whatever, and you take super chat revenue. Help me make you money. That's what I want to do. Please stop doing this. So I've sent them the proof, because I have the receipts. I sent them the proof of it, but I was just reminding you guys, make sure you check and see if you're subscribed, especially if you get one of those surveys after a stream that says, how was this stream? Or after a video, because I've heard that people get unsubscribed after doing one of those. So, as is customary on YouTube, even though I hate it, please like and subscribe, share, all of that stuff. I don't like shilling. I really hate it. The only reason I'm doing it is because I'm trying to grow the channel, which is growing without this just fine until YouTube specifically decided to make it stop by unsubscribing people who are actively watching my show. So that's my bit on it. I'm not saying any more. Thanks for dealing with it. Because I hate this. I hate this part of it. So thank you for dealing with that. All right, let's. I should prepare one more horror picture. So this is second. I'll get it pulled up here. Oh, God. Trying to get a... This is a horrific being. It's a crossbreed, right? It's an interbred human and animal. Hold on. We're getting there. We're getting the image there. Okay. Again, I have to warn you, trigger warning, brace yourself for impact. It's really hard to see the products of genetic manipulation in their full, uncensored horror. But this is Halloween, and we subject ourselves to the terrible. We subject ourselves to the terrible to remind ourselves of the privileged life that we lead. So I present to you the human horse hybrid. Ah! No! No, 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 no! No! Okay. God. Ooh. Thank you for bearing that with me, brothers and sisters. Statistically, 0.5% of you are sisters. Oh, and I fully expect this stream to get demonetized because of the explicit depiction of violence that we talked about. That's yeah, just talking about that. So this stream, and I have stopped appealing things that I believe will be demonetized, or believe YouTube. You know, I used to just appeal everything, and I think maybe YouTube's mad at me for appealing some of the stuff. Although, like, most of the Drexel streams are monetized, so I don't get it. Not the recent one. Okay, so here is a horror story. This is all the elements of horror. This has a violent crime. It's got a little bit of enough graphic detail that we can draw our own conclusions. It's a cheerful event turned into something tragic, and it's got a twist at the end. It's got a twist. It's got all of it. It's a perfect horror story right here in real life, published just today. Brand new. How perfect is this? A Pennsylvania groom accused of assaulting bridesmaid hit with new charges. A Pennsylvania man accused of sexually assaulting a bridesmaid the weekend of his own wedding has been hit with new charges. Authorities announced on Wednesday Daniel Carney, 28, was charged with attempted rape, attempted sexual assault, and aggravated indecent assault after allegedly forcing himself on a bridesmaid 2 days before his August wedding in Stroudsburg, Pennsylvania. We wanted to adjust the charges to better reflect the facts as we know them, District Attorney E. David Christine told reporters after Wednesday's court hearing, adding Carney's accuser had to take some time to come to terms with the horrible things that had happened to her during the course of this episode. The bridesmaid, 29, told authorities she's named a number. Told authorities she was drunk when Carney pulled her into a men's locker room at the hotel on August 30th after a day of wedding activities. Surveillance video shows Carney pulling her into the room where he allegedly took off her underwear and sexually assaulted her. Carney's now wife. So the bride married the groom. This isn't the twist. This isn't the twist. They still got hitched. 2 days before his wedding, he attempt rapes his wife's bridesmaid. But this isn't the twist, okay? This isn't the twist. Hold on. Carney's now wife, who was present at his Wednesday court hearing, allegedly walked into the locker room during the assault. The Monroe County District Court Attorney's Office said the new charges will override a previous charge of involuntary deviant sexual intercourse. That's the twist. Not only did they go through with the wedding, she walked in on the assault. She's cool with it. Well, I mean, because, like, they still get married. Okay, she didn't know it happened. Charges were brought later. You know, the wedding went on. She finds out, like, oh, they're now married. She walked in during it. He's being charitable. He's either raping or just consensually banging her bridesmaid. Well, I mean, whatever, though. We're still getting hitched. Cuck queen princess right there. Oh my God. And in 2 paragraphs, we have a much tighter horror story than most 2-hour movies. There you go. Oh boy. And think about it. Think about it. These alt-right chicks are leaving dudes because the dudes don't have jobs. This girl is sticking with her man while he is tearing up her bestie. Maybe her sister. Who knows? Right? Bridesmaids are sisters or cousins all the time. We don't know what this chick is. Maybe his sister. Sometimes, you know, the bride adds the sister of the groom as a bridesmaid. Who knows? We don't know anything about this. Oh, cuckweenery. Cuckweenery. Oh, look at Trump. I didn't read these articles. I'll read Ukrainian call transcript out loud to nation in live fireside chat. I don't even care. Impeach me all you want. Speaker Pelosi, you're fired. I wish he would try to fire her. That'd be funny. He'd read the transcript of the phone call to the people. Perhaps there's a fireside chat on live television. I hope beyond hope. Because I think it would be the funniest outcome. I don't care about Trump. I don't care about the impeachment. I have an academic curiosity in how they're going to frame all of these arguments and how the Supreme Court is going to deal with impeachment going forward. I really do. But on the results, I don't care if they impeach Trump or not. I don't care if they throw him out of office or not. I have a curiosity about it, but that's it. But I hope beyond hope that the phone calls transcript is 100% innocuous and that they cover it and all these people banging the drum got trolled in the greatest live trolling in history by the president. That would be the meme-tastic way to do this. And gosh, I hope that happens. Anyway. Evacuations ordered as Maria fire spreads in South California. Fires aren't scary. Malwarebytes offering a 14-day premium trial of its hacker busting software. That's not scary. Trump files documents to become a Florida resident. Why? We're getting out of New York. They got to get out of those taxes. Refurbished MacBook Pro on sale. Come on. Are any of these good? 7-year-old girl shot in neck while trick-or-treating in Chicago. I mean, Chicago is the full red pill. Apparently, they were trying to stop her from joining the alt-right in 11 years. Let's read this one. We'll make this the last story we've got for the night. Here we go. Florida man wins re-election. Oh my God. A 7-year-old girl was shot in the neck Thursday evening while trick-or-treating with her family in southwest Chicago, police said. At about 5:30 p.m. in the Little Village neighborhood, at least one man in a group began shooting at a 30-year-old man, according to the Chicago Police Department. The girl, reportedly wearing a bumblebee costume for Halloween, was struck in the lower neck. Taken to John H. Stroger Jr. Hospital of Cook County in critical condition, police said the young girl, who was out with family for Halloween, is believed to be an unintended victim after multiple offenders opened fire. Chicago police spokesman Anthony Guglielmi. How do you even say that name? Said in a tweet, police had no description of the gunman and no one was in custody. Okay. Since this video is already demonetized, let's make a statement here. Get rid of this. Oh, sorry. Let's talk about this. Talk about this very briefly. It's really easy to suggest that a particular race is responsible for crimes. And I know the statistics. And unlike Drexel, I believe the statistics. Like I have no grounds to challenge the statistics. I don't care. 1350, whatever you want to talk about. I'm not going to argue against those statistics. I'm not. But hear me out on something. Because the statistics play into this. And this is the incomplete and half-assed method of policing that we have. Okay? This is the real issue. This type of violence occurs consistently in specific places. There is study after study after study. You can go to the metro areas and look at their crime map data going back 18 months, and you will find burglaries, you will find murders, you will find assaults, you'll find them concentrated in specific places. Now, the common prevailing modal statistic for this is that in a metropolitan area, in a major metropolitan area, 50% of the crime comes from 5% or less of the city blocks. Okay? That is a city block is responsible for 50% of the crime, 5% of city blocks. All right? Now, who lives in those blocks? You can have that debate all day. It doesn't matter. For this conversation, it doesn't matter. What matters is that 1350 means those 50 numbers match up, right? Largely in those 5% areas, you're going to find a particular demographic. We'll say it that way. You're going to find a particular demographic, and there's potentially all sorts of reasons for that. You don't have to think that there is some race violence connection. You don't have to think that way to logically address the fact that this is a thing that is occurring. You can look at it economically, you can look at it developmentally, you can look at it from an oppression perspective and all come to the same conclusion based on the numbers, okay? 13% responsible for 50% of the crime, 50% of crime occurs on 5 blocks that are overrepresented, or 5% of blocks that are overrepresented by that 13%, okay? Let's get past all of that. Let's have something real here. Police know all of this. Police departments have all of this data. And they're so effing afraid of being labeled as racist that they will not go to the 5% of blocks where the crime occurs and actively police those blocks. This is the problem. So then, now people have talked about how police shootings that are interracial, for example, are based on police understanding of where violence comes from and statistics. And I agree. And you can talk to cops about this. You say, I'm more likely to be attacked by a person of a particular demographic, right? I've heard it from lots of police officers. My interactions with this particular demographic are always more violent or more dangerous. Okay, we'll accept that argument. We'll accept it. The problem still remains. They're so afraid to go police the 5% of blocks that are responsible for the violence. And here's the trick, guys. In the surveys where they do go police those blocks, the crime doesn't move to a different block. It actually reduces crime. It is the only effective active policing technique that they've done, is to go to the 5% of city blocks and actively police them to actively reduce crime. Okay? Because for some reason, it's locality that matters more than, like, the offenders don't move to the next block. They may over a long period of time, but in the short term and in the lasting term, crime drops. And when crime starts to rise in other blocks, you can actually start actively policing those blocks and you'll get the same results because crime is localized. Because it's hard, especially in impoverished city blocks, people aren't laterally, upwardly mobile a lot of times. It's really hard for the criminals to move to the next block. And it's about, especially in Chicago, you're in gang-controlled territories. We know it's territorial. We have all of the data on this, and the talking points from the right and the left are similar on these issues, okay? But because of that 1350, police are afraid to police the 5%. The 5% where the crime is actually occurring. But also as a result of that, they active police everybody. That's why you're getting pulled over for doing 6 miles over the limit. And why your innocuous encounter with a police officer, if you're in a bad mood or they're in a bad mood, turns bad. Or why you get a ticket for something that you would just get a warning for under most policing circumstances, because they're actively looking for guns and drugs where there aren't guns and drugs. Now, if they police the 5% blocks and they pull over tons of cars for minor infractions, they actually find lots of guns and drugs. But when they police everywhere else, they rarely ever find guns and drugs. But they do find them. But it's way less common. Way less common. The point is, we've got issues with police violence in this country. Doesn't matter if you're black, white, or whatever. Whites are shot at higher rates than blacks. Like, that's the reality of the statistics. The statistical breakdown is if you're white involved with a police officer, you're actually more likely to get shot. Blacks getting shot by white officers gets the most press. It's not the highest number, but that gets the most press, okay? This is all irrelevant. All encounters with police are potentially deadly. And instead of focusing police efforts into neighborhoods like South Chicago, because they're scared of how they will look from a racial perspective, they engage in active policing to everybody, and it wraps up, it ends up involving people who aren't part of the 5% in unfortunate encounters with police that result in either, and all it takes, by the way, is you to have one too many speeding tickets and have a bad day when a cop pulls you over, and suddenly you're involved in police violence and resisting arrest because they think, oh, why is this guy so mad that I pulled him over? Why is this guy mad that he's going to now have to take 20 minutes out of today, perhaps a multiple hour court hearing, and at the end of the day, pay hundreds of dollars and get increased insurance? Why is he mad that I'm pulling him over, bro? Just doing my job, buddy. Why do you think he's mad? But it doesn't matter, because you're not there for the speeding ticket unless you get pissed off at the guy or they say something self-incriminating. That's the reality of speeding tickets. If you're getting a ticket, you likely said something self-incriminating like, yeah, I was speeding. Or I was only going 2 miles over the limit, or 3 or 5. That's self-incriminating. That's an admission of guilt, and you are guilty. The cops can charge you, and they will win. It's your word versus theirs. Unless you recorded it and you didn't say it, you're done at that point. Or if you piss the cop off. Because, and you can talk to cops on this, almost always, unless the speeding is really excessive, 20, 30 miles over the limit, 15 miles over the limit even. But if you're 0 to 10 miles over the limit, you're probably not on the slate to get a ticket unless you pissed them off, because they're actually looking for drugs, actually looking for guns. And it's really, really unfortunate because overwhelming majority of the time, they're not getting drugs, they're not getting guns. They're just increasing the encounters they have and pissing people off. And it pisses me off that a little girl gets shot in Southside Chicago because the cops won't go to Southside Chicago because of racism. Anyway, thanks for dealing with my rant. There's all sorts of data on this stuff, and police departments ignore it. They only look at half of it. They say, oh, active policing in this one study did wonders. Well, yes, they active police the county where all of the crime was occurring. So yes, it did wonders there. Anyway. Okay. That's that. Well, that's the spooky stories I have for you guys. I hope this was a fun, relaxing stream. Tomorrow I don't know if I'm streaming tomorrow. Please keep an eye on the YouTube community page. I will attempt to let you know. Maybe taking the family out of town for part of the weekend. And if that's the case, then I may not be able to stream. I will, we haven't fully decided what our plans are yet on that. So I can't tell you for sure if I will have reliable streaming on Friday or not. So do keep a watch on the community tab. You should get a notification. You can go just manually check the channel and click on community and find any posts that I make. Otherwise, I may start cross-posting those community posts to my Rekieta Law Facebook business page. Not shilling the business page, but if you want to follow it, if you're a Facebook user, you can. I have not been using it. I have not. So if you go look, there's nothing posted for months and months and months because I hate Facebook, but it's a way to maybe push a notification off of the platform of YouTube. But I will definitely tomorrow post on YouTube's community page when I know if I will have the ability to stream or not that night. So that being said, I'm going to read through Justice Chats and Super Chats now. Thank you all for joining me. I am so sorry to be a half hour late to starting the show, but I was genuinely passed out on the couch from exhaustion. And no, I'm not confirmed for Kill Stream. I think I'll be on the Kill Stream. I'm not confirmed yet, Corona, but I guess keep an eye out. I will announce that as well if I do get the confirmation. So that being said, let's get into these chats. New York Gamers Federation says, just a quick reminder, the package we previously discussed is arriving tomorrow. We know you're uncertain about a stream tomorrow, but we'd love to see you open it on stream if you could. Verify it got to you okay. Get your live thoughts and all that jazz. Yeah, I will let you know, man. Thank you so much, and I will watch for it. Tess Not on Holiday said, I ordered pizza at 11 and it got here before the show started. Tinley says, hey Nick, happy Halloween. May Nagash claim your soul and the Von Karsteins your blood. In the voice of Bethesda-chan, it's spooky. I don't know what Bethesda-chan is. Dread Clown says, it's all of Minnesota, so metal Litchburg. Painesville. Oh, is all of Minnesota so metal? Litchburg. It's actually Litchfield, the field of liches. And Painesville. Yes, a village of pain. Also, grants on having only one of 2 House Democrats to vote against opening an impeachment inquiry. How red is Colin Peterson's district? +3 Republican. Very red. Colin Peterson was going to resign something like 6 years ago, or maybe, no, it was longer than that. It was either 8 or 10 years ago. Peterson was going to resign, and then a credible Republican challenger came up and challenged him, and the House Democrats said, "You better stay." And Peterson stayed and has remained 10 years past when he was planning on resigning, because anybody other than Colin Peterson runs in this district and the Republican wins. Outside of the Republican touching kids. It's +3 or +4 Republican, very conservative district. But Colin Peterson is on the ag committee, I think. And we have massive, in this district, we have massive sugar beets. So, yeah. And the sugar beet farmers he's bought and paid for, y'all. So the next, and the Republican replacement will be bought and paid for by the sugar beet farmers as well. They have the money in this district. That's how it's going to be. They need a seat at that ag committee table. That's what they need. So. Yeah, Colin Peterson, like a pro-gun, I think pro-life Democrat. Hard to find these days. But Tess Not on Holiday says, aren't the pits of hell considered international waters? How did the court get the jurisdiction? They didn't. Anthony says, she can't believe it's not butter, but she dumb as a board. Just wow. Okay, next. Yellow Jacket SA says, hey, buddy, hope you're having a great Tuesday. Come on now. Some Nobody says, Boomer Ween. Law Dad tells the big spooks. Arctic Pride says, wise man once said, forgiveness is divine, but never pay full grift for latent gay internet lawyers. No! Veloci Ninja says, you're gonna love this. This is what you call latent gay, and this is to go even further beyond. Wadsworth says, you're gayer than Vic's pants. Harsh but fair. Oh, man. Architect of Fate says, hey, Nikki, has one of your students ever asked you a question using the Lemoyne voice? Well, to be fair, I missed 2 classes in a row while I was in Hawaii, and then the 3rd class in a row was canceled. So I've only been there twice now, and the second class I was at was today. And no, they did not. Although they are, there's at least one student who drops random memes from the show. So I always pray that it's only he and I who understand. If you're a student of Nikki's, just call him Mr. Rackets. Queen Nida says, imagine not giving full candy bars on spooky night. We only give big candy bars. Also, trunk or treat in a controlled environment is better. What if the kids get soy estrogen infused candies? TLJ Screwjob. I like it because it's warmer, but I miss the nostalgia. But see, I did a lot of trick-or-treating down in Texas growing up, where it was warm in October. And I did a lot of trick-or-treating in Minnesota as well, but probably about equal amounts of trick-or-treating in both states. But I was outside in the cold. I never did a trunk-or-treat thing that I can recall. One year, in addition to conventional trick-or-treating, we did go to the Mall of America, which a couple stores were giving out candy, but that's about it. I believe I remember that. I remember who I was with, so I think so. TLJ Screwjob says, all lawyers work for Satan. Nick Rekieta 2019. It's true. Ben Frail says, Terry Smith Tyler versus Carter, etc. Pro se Google. We'll see. Some Nobody says, this is why you need to be able to sue CNN. Hey, Ben Frail, if you're still around, can you email me that case so I can look into it? Kalinka Pavlova says, in my experience, the types of dudes who say Sieg Heil are violent, mostly non-white mongrel mob gang members, but I'm getting ahead of myself, aren't I? Whoa. Tara Sophia says, racketeers rise up. Long live groupthink. Hee hee. Spookmeyer says, I turned 30 today, Nick. I'm officially a boomer. Oh, welcome to it. You didn't turn 30 today because if you're a boomer, today was Tuesday. Ahmed, the Uber driver, says, let me explain to you about the real Sharia Nicky racket. The Granter says, what do you think the fate of hobbies, media, games, and other media nowadays? Do you think it'll change for better, or is it beyond saving in public? It's not beyond saving. It's not beyond saving. Remember ultimately that we buy stuff and the people complaining in all of these places largely don't. Maybe one or two of them do, but the bulk of the injection into hobby communities is coming from people who aren't in the hobby. The bulk is. There are some who are in the hobby who are woke AF and who are trying to inject some sort of view into it. But their support comes from outside the hobby. People who don't buy. Why do you guys think Kamea-Khan kept Vic back? Like, do you think Kamea-Khan dropped Vic right away? Right? Like, within days of the announcements, everybody's dropping Vic. Kamea-Khan, gone. No problem. Those Toye emails, right? Or text messages did all the work they needed to do. They dropped him on the words of a little cuck bag named Ron Toye. That's it. That's all they had to do. He's gone. Poof. I think they cared like about bringing Vic back specifically because it was Vic. But you know what happened? When we talked about Kamea-Khan, talked about supporting Kamea-Khan, you know what people did is they bought a lot of tickets. I mean a lot of tickets. People bought tickets who weren't going to the show. People bought the online packages when they put them out. The fans put money up. You know who didn't put money up? The critics. It didn't even... Renfamous bought her ticket after Vic was announced only to cancel it moments later. Kamea-Khan called her on it, right? They just flat out called her on it. Because they're liars. And because we bring dollars. So no, the hobbies are not lost. Hobbies are not lost. You hold in your hands whether they're at work or at an unemployment line. You do. And they know it. I don't know that boycotts are particularly effective. I don't usually call for boycotts. I'm not a boycott person. But I know it is effective. And that's buying things you like. Because when people pay you to do something, you do it more. It's natural. It's natural. Okay, sorry. Another mini rant. The Grander says, at Rekieta Law, where to go with culture from here? It's hard to plan where to go with culture. I don't know. RM Echy Lover says, still a better story than Twilight. Critical says, trailer trash Twilight. Fluffy Side Up says, this chick got Mike Tysoned. Gilgamesh says, are you reading bad creepypasta? Nope, these are news stories and court cases. Bad Dragonite says, man, this new crossover between Detroit Become Human and Underworld is severely lacking. I give it 1 Cactus Jack out of 10. A Critical says, kissed without consent and wasn't traumatized. What? AGK says, I call BS. A wolf simply can't strangle someone. She knew exactly what she was doing by virtue of the fact that she tried to strangle the victim. Asphyxiation says, I wonder if Mundane Matt was involved in the face biting incident. I know he delivers Uber Eats and it's alleged he holds blades to women's throats. Ooh, shots fired. Shots fired. Ken A says, hey, Nick, Could you shield my GoFundMe for Iron Wind Studios? I'm trying to get a piece of equipment for the shop. Stuff happened at work you want to hear. Yeah, Ken, sorry, I was running all day and then sleeping, apparently. Wait, what is it? Iron Wind Studios GoFundMe. Let's take a quick peek at the fundraiser for Ken. It's trucking along here actually quite well. So if you guys, Ken, for those of you who remember or don't remember, is the guy who made the knives. And we're going to auction here for Vic. I've got one of them handy. We're going to auction for Vic's GoFundMe. This is the knife from Iron Wind Studios. Ken is looking to raise some money for a belt grinder to make this type of work a little bit easier and faster and more voluminous, I would imagine. So the craftsmanship is excellent. The knife is it's not like a stamped out piece of trash. It's actually a nice piece of steel. Feels good in the hand. You know, it's the handle work is done with care. It's a full tang blade, and the metal is like it's a real. Well, I mean, look at it. This is a meaty piece of knife. So you're not getting a cheap thing. He does good work. So if you want to support him, please do. Please do. That's Iron Wind Studios. You can find it by just typing Iron Wind Studios GoFundMe into Google there, and it'll take you right to it. So Rockstar Dane says, hey Nick, just started a new band named The Family Gun. Been getting a lot of flack for the name. I think it's BS. Having the word gun in the name can cause so much drama. Thoughts? #TFG. I don't know what TFG is. But yes, of course it's garbage. It's very stupid. Especially if you're at all like, well, any kind of band really. Guns have become so taboo, and they just don't need to be. They're tools, they're weapons, but they're inanimate. Random Blaze says, bring up the genetic manipulation picture again, Nick. Now say, you have heard of Jackass, now meet a half-assed. Oh no. No, I'm not bringing that picture up again. Oh, TFG, The Family Gun. Thank you. That's probably what it is. And then Cesario JPN says, Hapaharu in from glorious Japan. Oh, hey, Hapaharu to you. Whatever that means. Over in Japan. And speaking of Japan, I am listening through part 3 of Dan Carlin's series, Supernova in the East, which talks about Japan leading up to and through World War II. Very, very cool stuff. If you're into history, told really well and really, really thoroughly explored, but in a non-horrific way. And by horrific, I mean boring, right? In an interesting and engaging way. Dan Carlin's Hardcore History is a great, great show. And I'm currently listening to Supernova in the East, which is really, really great. It's a good review, right? Great. It's great. It's great. All right, guys. That's the show for tonight. Happy Halloween in Japanese. Oh, yeah. Happy Halloween to you, too. Thanks for hanging out tonight. Thanks for watching the show. Thanks for engaging. Hopefully we'll see you, if not tomorrow, then either over the weekend or Monday. I will let you know when I'll be streaming. You can just make sure you're following the community tab on YouTube, because Twitter seems to be gone. I try and announce the shows on Twitter through my intern. I wasn't able to get her to do a post tonight. But, you know, c'est la vie. This is what we deal with. This is what we deal with when we're not on Twitter. But, again, it's been very refreshing not being on Twitter in so many ways. So, thanks, guys, for hanging out. I will talk to you soon. And you guys have a good night. Peace. Peace. Oh, wait. Outro. Gotta have an outro. Whoa, that's a little loud. All right. So like I was saying, now that the outro is playing, the outro is here. So have some whiskey, cozy up to a loved one, and have a good night. Happy Halloween. Critical says the family fun, the family gay, the family shooting. Oh no. Don't do that. All right, thanks guys. Again, have a good night. Peace. Peace.
From the white shores of Maine to the hills of Glenlivet, there's no one who explains the law better than Nick. So pour out a glass for the ones who have passed to make the law what we have now. Oh, his lady is fair, and she handles herself with the grace of one who has borne many children. As the wife of a lawman, she makes sure that he has the time and the place to provide for them there.
Yes,
so
to
pour
Twitch.
out an art bag of Balmore and Lafroig. The spirits flow as the ones who get unemployed. So pour out a glass for the tea post on Twitter as we hear Lost Planning tonight. From the white shores of Nan to the hills of Glenlivet, there's no one who explains the law better than Nick. So pour out a glass for the ones who have passed to make the law what we have now. Oh, the guests are all plentiful, from Dante to Drexel. They bring their perspective and spice to the mix. But the reason we're here and the one that we cheer is the one who is showcasing us his career. Get unemployed, so pour out a glass for the tea post on Twitter as we hear Lost Planning tonight. From the white shores of Nan to the hills of Glenlivet, there's no one who explains the law better